had a right to be wrong in religion, in religious matters.
So a sort of a Big Tent approach to religion.
That's right. The new teaching, the new persuasion, although it's never been the official teaching of the church, it's just that it is a wave of opinion that has been adopted by a majority, is that you have a right to be wrong in religious matters. And that's the definition of the church. And then the chief one, the chiefest, if I could put it like that, difference is this, that originally up to 1965, the Pope was considered to be the head of the church in the sense that he had absolute power, which he shared with nobody in religious matters. Not in secular matters, but in religious matters.
Infallible.
Infallible, yeah. And that he alone could dictate in religious matters under certain fixed conditions. He could determine what people should do and believe in religious matters. That has been changed to saying that he and all the bishops, 4,500 of them, share the absolute power. Together, they're all colleagues. He is first among equals. This destroys this traditional absolute power of the papacy as the vicar of Christ and as the source of infallible teaching.
So in essence, it seemingly democratizes the church.
That's right. That's right. Then there are applications all over the place. And the fruit of it all is the tearing to shreds of traditional beliefs, whether it's the Blessed Sacrament, that is the presence of Christ in the sacrament of the Eucharist, as they call it. The Catholics believe, strictly speaking, that here we have the body and the blood and the divinity of Jesus on earth with us by means of the sacrament. The new belief is not like that. It holds that somehow or other we have another type of presence which is not sacramental. So you go on down the line and you find that a good deal of 1 million plus members have been led quietly, unprotectedly, unknowingly into another form of belief which is not Catholic. And now it has come to a point that, you know, there's a minister of religion, Professor demographer, religious demographer, those who study large religions like Buddhism, Hinduism, Confucianism, Catholicism, Judaism, Islam. They would say, and it's true, that at any given moment, apart from crises, any major religion, approximately such as 30% are fully practicing. The others pull along. In moments of crisis and war, etc., they connect the foe. In the Catholic Church today, if you take Europe, ancient Catholic Europe, the average is 5%. You can still go into Mass once a year, go into confession once a year, or pray regularly.
Well, there are those, Father, who would argue that it is because the church has not become progressive.
That's right. That's right.
That these numbers are down, that people are rejecting.
That's right. They would argue that. But the modernization and being progressive have come down to the adulteration and the dilution of these basic dogmas. That's why the essence is bad, the practice is bad, and all the chief moral points on which Catholics were adamantly fixed, like marriage without divorce, contraception, against abortion, against sterilization, against homosexuality. All those points are put at the present moment in the majority of so-called Catholic land.
How inside the church did this occur politically?
This occurred politically because for 3 years, between 1962 and 1965, before the majority of people who are listening probably were born, meeting took place in what we call the Second Vatican Council. And the people who emerged as the controllers of the discussion, it was attended by all bishops of the church at that time. That's roughly 2,800 bishops. The people who controlled their discussion set out to do precisely that. They were cardinals and bishops and officials. They had these ideas. They had had them for a long time. And by parliamentary stratagem and by very careful assembling of coalition of votes, they got these doctrines, these new outlooks rooted in as official dogmas and teachings of the Roman Catholic Church. And we had a program of Paul VI, who in his weakness went along with them. And that's what happened. And remember this, that Catholics were taught to obey what they were told.
Right.
And suddenly the bishops go around and say, now you will do this, now you will hold this, now you will believe in this way. And the majority said, all right. Unthinkingly, besides, the doctrine, the newly formulated doctrine, was far easier to observe than the old one.
There must have been a significant war in the Vatican for all of this.
It was a watershed. It was a real internecine war between the prelates, between the bishops and the theologians. But the traditionalist conservatives were far less skillful in parliamentary behavior as regards raising votes and changing men's minds. Were far cleverer than the traditionalists were, so that the conservatives and traditionalists lost out, found themselves completely outmanned and outmaneuvered. And at that day, above all, they had a cloak at that time for Paul VI, whom I knew, whom we all knew and liked, who was extremely volatile and was inclined to go along with anything that helped modernize the church. And he made a famous speech in 1965 at the end of this long 3-year meeting, saying that the church was to join man in building the human habitat and creating man's paradise on earth. That marks the first time in the millennia history the Roman Catholic Church said, I'm actually the purpose of this is to build up a material civilization. That was the death knell of the old organization, which now is agonizing.
Well, you mentioned the severe decline in attendance.
Yes.
Many years have gone under the bridge since this liberalization. If the intent was to bring the flock back, then have we not come far enough to declare it a failure?
Yes, but there is in question here a very, very real reality, if I can speak like that, which is called faith. Religious faith. And Catholic doctrine is very, very exact in its teaching about religious faith. It says that if you tamper with your faith, if you, by one compromise or another, you diminish its teaching and are unfaithful to its precepts, you lose it. Now, faith is not a quantum, it's not something you put in a box. It's a dimension of the soul, affecting your mind and your will and your memory, and therefore your sensuality, your entire being. If you diminish it to such a point that you compromise its basics, it slowly is dissipated. You can lose your faith. And once you lose it, you don't know you have lost it. You do think the other fellow who is stuck to his faith is a fool, observing things that he needn't observe. But what has happened to you, not to us, but what has happened to one, is that one's faith has been diminished to the point of no return. That you don't know you're wrong. In other words, the old principle, if you lose your faith, you don't know you've lost it. And once you've lost it, there is no guarantee you will ever get it back. No guarantee you will ever realize that once upon a time you did believe in certain truths, modern faith and fixedly, and once it's gone, another faith of millions has been effected in basic things like the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ in the sacrament, like the absolute position of the Pope as the only infallible teacher under certain fixed conditions, the nature of marriage, the purpose of man, human liberty. It embraces the entire gamut.
Well, then one must ask, has the Vatican made an irreversible mistake? That's what you seem to be saying.
Yes, the Vatican has made an irreversible mistake as regards the structure of the Church and as regards the way doctrines should be taught. But when we say Vatican, though, the Vatican is, we'll tell us now what Vatican is. It is materially, it's a golf-sized area on the banks of the River Tiber in Italy.
Yes.
And there resides the Pope and his officials, about 4,000 or 5,000 of them. That's the Vatican, strictly speaking, and it's in Rome. It's a part of Rome, the capital of Italy. The Vatican, religiously, is this collection of officials and bureaucrats under the, technically speaking, under the direction of the Pope. Now, but what has happened is that power has been transferred from that bureaucracy and that papal organization to the bishops themselves. They make decisions which the Vatican doesn't like, but it has no longer any power to change.
All right, Father, hold on. We're at the bottom of the hour. When we get back, we're going to ask about a specific name. Names. I'm Marvell. This is Coast to Coast AM. All right, Father Martin, in Windswept House, you referred to a cardinal, a certain cardinal, not by name. Would that name possibly be Cardinal Casaroli?
He is there, yes, the character of Cardinal Casaroli. By the way, this cardinal just mentioned Casaroli, has just died.
Passed on, yes.
Passed on, as we say.
So then we can perhaps safely mention his name.
Yes, I think so, with reverence. I don't know how different we are in opinion from him, because he doesn't want to reverence, he wasn't reverence.
And what role did he play in these changes?
He played a capital role because he was the equivalent of what you would say the foreign minister and the secretary of state, chief advisor to at least two folks. And he has tremendous influence in molding the attitude of the Vatican and the power, to the communist empire of the Soviet Union, and then by derivation on the ordinary activity of ordinary Catholics. And his view was extremely brilliantly inculcated and practiced, but with disastrous effect, because in effect he accepted the status quo in the Soviet countries, where Catholicism was oppressed, and where professors were imprisoned and killed and tortured. And he was an extremely rigid man as regards devotion and as regards belief. He had no use for a central belief of Catholics today, which centers around a small town in Portugal called Fatima, and the revelations of Fatima, and the miracle, a genuine miracle by all accounts, in 1917 taking place in Portugal, which is a very influential event in the life of the Church. He was secular-minded compared to his predecessors in that post, and his influence was enormous.
So then the unnamed
Yes, to a large extent, the career of Casaroli is mirrored in the, what we say in Windswept House about a man called Maestro Yanni. The name that this man had, to a large extent. The effect was disastrous because he implemented the policy of live and let live with the communist regimes and established relations with them. It was the first time that you find a cardinal of the Holy Roman Catholic Church drinking glasses in the Kremlin. Those who at the same time were persecuting his fellow co-religionists throughout the Soviet Empire.
Well, going back even further, there was also some clinking glasses to the Nazis, was there not?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. But that was never the Vatican. The Vatican never clinked glasses, but there was continual friction because the man in charge of the church at that time was a man called Pacelli, Eugenio Pacelli, better known as Pius XII. And he abhorred Nazis. And he abhorred fascism as such. And he did his best to condemn them in a very difficult situation. You are probably a lot of our listeners acquainted with the controversy about Pius XII, but that he ever had any doubt whatever for Hitler and company is to establish that he had none ever. And there was no clinking of glass. Now, individual clergymen did, but they were always reproved by him, and if possible, out of their particular location, wherever they were.
If these changes, as you have described, are irreversible within the church, then where is the church going?
In one word, underground.
Underground?
Underground, yes. Structure as it is creaking and groaning and not carrying the weight. And there is bringing out, both in North America and Latin America and in Europe, a network of Catholics, priests, bishops, nuns, laity, who are reviving all the ancient teachings and living by them, and refusing to cooperate with anything they consider to be out of line, anything they consider not to belong to the popular faith, the traditional faith. Now, to be awfully frank with you, and to be frank with all my fellow Catholics throughout the world, at the present moment, that network probably includes about 10 billion existing out of 1 billion. But it is most potent, and the best proof of its potency and its power and its promise is the fact that it is hounded and condemned and excoriated by the officialdom of the Roman Catholic Church.
So then, what do you ultimately see occurring? I mean, you've got an underground, a fractional portion of the church underground. Will it survive? Will it build? Or
It will survive and build and flourish, but in the meantime, the external presence and the influence of the Catholic community, if you can speak of such a thing nowadays, that presence in the public square, in the public market of ideas and organizations, that is going to diminish and be negligible. To such an extent that, today, if you examine any country, even North Korea or Albania, two dreadfully distressed lands at the present moment. But in all the other countries anyway, you can safely say there are three components. One is the government. The government is always important nowadays. It used to be, but now it is terribly important. And number two, you have the business community. And the business community, in many countries, is far more important than the actual government of the elected officials, if these officials are elected. And number three, then you have a gaggle, a rabble of organizations. Everything from the International Fireman's Union to Mothers Against Drunk Driving to the Catholic Church. And they are competing in the public square with diminishing shares going to religion, especially Roman Catholicism. Because Roman Catholicism does not belong to the mainstream thought today. As you examine the emerging EU, the European Union,
Yes.
it now has laws that are intolerable for Catholics. Every member of the Union must, according to the laws of the EU, European Union, which is just coming into existence economically and politically, they must have laws promoting abortion, permitting contraception, permitting divorce. They must give equal rights to homosexual marriages. All these things are unbearable in a world in which Catholicism reigns. But now, as different from 50 years ago, 60 years ago, or 100 years ago, the Catholic Church was a small member of the NGOs, non-governmental organizations, competing in the public square, with decreasing returns because the doctrine does not fit modernization. Now, what's the future? The future is a diminishing socio-political and socio-cultural effect of Catholics. The dispelling of anything like a potent Catholic community and the existence of Catholicism in its traditional form underground, in the sense that it's private and practiced quasi in secret and out of the public view because the public doesn't like it. And there will always be, well, not always, but there will be for quite a long time a public facade in which there is a group of officials, bishops, priests, all the way up to the papacy, who will maintain the exterior facade, but the power will be gone. Interestingly enough, the future of the papacy is different because of the power that the papacy exerts as a center. But
Yeah.
that's a wider question.
Yeah, it will be, you're saying it will be different or is different in...
It really will belong to the mainstream. There will be very little difference between it and the other component members of the socio-political body.
Are you suggesting the Pope has been reduced to nothing much more than a figurehead?
Yes, I am. That's what I'm saying, and that is the fact. That is in the actual effect on politics and on culture. There no longer is really a Catholic influence in this country, or in North America, or in Latin America. There's no longer any real influence at all. And it's a diminishing influence that they do exert, and every year brings defeat after defeat after defeat. For instance, take a very common example, a very prevalent example of art. There's a play called Corpus Christi by a playwright, very well known, Terence McNally, Irish origin, of course. It is, the plot is roughly that you have a central figure called Joshua, which is Jesus, and he has 12 disciples, and he has homosexual relations with those disciples in the play. Now, for the Roman Catholic doctrine, for Roman Catholic believers, this is blasphemy. And yet there is no way Roman Catholics can stop this, can get it removed. The more they talk about it, the more public they give it.
Well,
And that is the big difficulty, that there no longer is any respect, veneration for central doctrines of the Roman Catholic Church.
well then, Father, if all of this is true, and so much of the world is Catholic, in name at least,
Nominally.
then what effect would you imagine this to have on society in general? It's a much broader question. If we're going to be accepting now the unacceptable previously,
Yes.
how will this change society, or is that already underway?
That's already underway, Art. And the effect is a diminishing return in moral influence.
In other words, what is said by the church is no longer carries the weight it once did.
That's right. That's right. For instance, there's no doubt about it that the majority of Catholics in Northern Ireland are believers. Everybody seems to accept it, but it is true. But in no way has that really influenced politics. No more than the Protestantism of the Orange Men their counterpart in Northern Ireland, has that influenced their morality.
Yeah, what a mess over there right now.
A real mess. But the point I'm making is that neither the Catholic Church nor the Protestant Church has any influence over the behavior either of the IRA, the Irish, or the Catholic, or the Protestant.
So then, minus this influence, what effect do you see it having on society?
A destabilizing effect, because look, in the absolute order, imaginatively, in our imagination now, Art, you and I and our listeners, we wipe out the existence of the Catholic Church. There no longer is the Catholic Church existing in this epoch.
Right.
There are no popes, no bishops, no cathedrals, no churches, no religious orders, no schools, no academies, no institutes, no influence. They belong to museums. If you do that, if such a happening did take place, a black hole would appear in human society. Because the Catholic Church, culturally, socio-culturally, through its religious influence and its religious monuments and its religious tradition, does exercise a restraining hand. If that's gone, then all demonstratives I know, it will be catastrophic. Completely catastrophic. Just as if the differences in Arab lands, from Algeria to Indonesia, Islam suddenly disappeared. There would be chaos. Because religion does, whether it's Islam or Catholicism, in their particular lands, do introduce a socio-cultural balance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the real enemies of the Roman Catholic Church, and the Roman Catholic Church has real enemies, never wanted to destroy the organization. It's too valuable as a socio-cultural and socio-political stabilizer. They wanted to control it.
If it no longer has that value, then will the same restriction on its destruction remain?
Yes, it will. It will. And of course, nobody can predict the future. Nobody can say what is going to happen in 2020, 2030, 2050, and 3000. We don't know even if we will attain that age for the church, or for the human race. If we will go through most of the next millennium, we don't know. But we can safely say certain things, that the diminishing return of the influence of anything like a Catholic community forebodes, or bodes simply, bodes a terrible absence in social and political life.
Are we to imagine at some point homosexual priests? Are we to imagine the ending of the institution of marriage as we have known it? Are we to imagine a church that will accept anybody's conception of God and religion and how it was and how it is?
We have it already. To a large extent, we have it already. In certain dioceses, for instance, in the United States, the diocese being the locality governed by a bishop, there are married priests living with their families.
Yes.
In contravention of the law of the Church's celibacy. There are homosexual priest organizations here and abroad, and in Latin America. There are women priests, that is, that women who have undergone ordination ceremonies and who faithfully say what they call Mass every so often, in vestments with a chalice, etc., with the usual accoutrements of a Roman Mass. There are bishops who openly flaunt the authority of the Pope and the basic dogmas of the Church. We're well on our way. There is too, which we must keep on saying, there is a large body of Catholics of that 1 billion plus membership, a large number of Catholics who groan beneath this, who know it's wrong, but who can't do anything about it. Because again, the organization of the church is very tight. And if you start as a pope and go down to the smallest little parish priest stuck away in the smallest little parish, you will find that in no position of authority, anywhere in that vast network of organizations of bishops and priests, organizations and committees and dioceses and parishes, In no place is there one tradition left. They have all been ousted and ousted.
Outed and ousted.
Yep. So the prognosis is bad from the point of view of socio-political presence and socio-cultural influence. Now, what will happen after that is, one can hypothesize, but that's the situation.
And that's really the purpose of Windswept House as a book, to expose all of that.
That's why Windswept House. And it took place in the 20 years, chiefly in the 20 years of Pope John Paul II, whom many people describe as a conservative, traditionalist.
I understand that Windswept House is available nationwide in bookstores, or it ought to be.
It ought to be.
But then I guess some people have been unable to find it.
That's right. But there is I can give, if you permit it, I can give an address where they can always apply for a copy of the paperback.
Please.
It is therefore to Malachi Market, care of Post Box POB 295, Lodi, Lodi, Wisconsin 53555. They will always get a copy by corresponding with that address. Repeat that again, POB 295, Lodi, Lodi, Wisconsin, zip code 53555.
How much trouble are you in with the church?
Well, you see, this is a very interesting point about it, Art. I visit Rome. I see the people I want to see, including John Paul II. Not as often as I used to, because the fact that this Pope's health is precarious, and besides he is surrounded by people who not only dislike me, but dislike him. One man whom I know sees the Pope professionally in the health field will tell me constantly, look, when I see the officials around him, there's more hate than affection,
For the Pope.
than respect for this man.
All right. Father Martin, hold on a moment. We'll pick up on this when we get back. And I've got some very, very provocative questions to ask Father Martin. Then I'm going to turn him over to you, folks. We're going to get the lines earlier than we normally do with Father Martin, because we haven't done it in the past. Don't touch that dot. All right, to summarize the first hour with Father Martin. Father Martin is a conservative within the church, even a fundamentalist. He suggests that the church has irreversibly begun to move away from all of its original teachings and tenets. Irreversibly so, once again. And that this will produce changes, of course, in society, because the church, not only the Catholic Church, but churches and religions worldwide, have been pillars on which societal behavior is based. And I think that pretty well sums it up. Windswept House is a novel. It is fiction, except it isn't fiction, is it, Father?
No, it's not. But it's far easier and allows some room for your imagination, and therefore for explanation of what is happening, dire happening, to the Roman Catholic Church, which up to 40 years ago was a monolith in society, Europe and the Americas especially, but worldwide too. And to describe this, of course, you're going to walk on several people's feet, and you're going to have to discuss existing people, which one must always do with reverence, with certain respect, because they are there, and their office, they hold high office. So the mode of, we actually are, you know, in America we've invented this. A man who really made it work was Norman Mailer, but even an American writer like Taylor Caldwell, she used what we now call faction. Not fiction, not fact. It's mirroring the factual situation by imaginative processes. And this is an example of what they call abstraction.
Well, would you go so far as to say that within portions of the Vatican, there is virtually a Satanism?
Oh, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. Then why walk so carefully?
Because eventually, first of all, there is a thing called scandal. Scandal in this sense that sometimes to tell the naked truth to people is so shocking that it is destructive of them. If you can point the way to the truth and indicate, if they wish to search themselves, they can find the truth. It's far more effective than overwhelming them with such bad news that they lose heart. People must have a good motive for existing. At least they must think they have a good motive for existing. No man can exist on nothing. He must have some motivation. And you can destroy the confidence in life by painting an utterly accurate, but bleak picture. So, no, one must be careful. One must not scandalize in that sense. But one must try and point to the truth and educate people slowly. I have beautiful friends in the Catholic Church and in other churches and in other religions. We're talking about my Catholics. And I hesitate to disturb them in certain ways, knowing that with wisdom and the years and prayer and their own goodness, they will arrive at the full truth. In the meanwhile, I must temper my critiques, my criticisms, so as not to completely shock them. I think it's a common phenomenon.
Well, unless you expect this movement to remain underground for nearly all eternity ahead, isn't there going to have to be a shock?
Oh yes. Ultimately, yes. There's no doubt about it. And I could say this, I did like prediction, by the fact that my name, Malachi, is the name of a prophet, a minor prophet in the Hebrew Bible. I did like predicting that. This can't go on for long within the Catholic Church. Something is going to give. It's going to implode. Something is going to give. That will be the day of reckoning.
Can you imagine the mechanism by which something will give?
Yes, I can imagine the mechanism.
How?
Well, without naming names, which is always, I could name off, in the American bishops, there are about 250 of them.
Yes.
I could name off 20 to 30 to 40 who are quite capable of taking up a stance with regard church morality and church practice at complete variance with Rome, and saying to Rome, like it or not it.
You're talking about a revolution.
Yes, a clerical resistance to all advances by the traditional Roman authority. I can quite imagine it, and in France, and in Austria, and in Belgium, and in Holland, and in Italy, and in Spain, and in Ireland, and Poland, traditional Catholic places. I can see that fire taking place, and people saying, no, we're Catholics, but we don't share your opinion, and going their way, which of course would be fragmentation and complete destruction of church unity, such as this.
Could there be a complete schism?
Well, that is the part which saddens one's heart. Schism is a very interesting thing. Schism means this, that you and I, who believe the same truths, the same religious dogmas, we differ as to authority.
Yes.
That's schism. And I have beautiful schismatic friends in the Greek church, and the Russian church, and in the Protestant churches. They all believe the basic truth that I believe, but they will not acknowledge any authority of the Pope or of the the episcopal line descending from the 12 apostles, which Roman Catholics claim. And that's quite bearable. But I can see the schismatics possibly being saved while they're attaining heaven, speaking strictly as a traditional Catholic. Heresy is something else. Heresy is where you and I agree on a majority of doctrines, but we differ about one particular doctrine. And again, there are some beautiful heretical friends who are heretics, but whom I respect deeply. But we're facing something much more dire. And the Bible has named it already. It's called apostasy. An apostasy, as defined by the man who really lived through the apostasy, a man called Athanasius in the 300s, the 400s of the first millennium. Apostasy means that you step away from the basic dogmas of Christian faith, so that you can no longer be called a Christian or a Catholic. We are faced with apostasy. Not really apostasy by scholars, academicians, professors, theologians, but apostasy in the people. There is a spreading apostasy.
All right, perhaps this fact that I've got is an example, will serve as an example, and you can address it. It's from Tom in Michigan, and he says, tonight for the first time I've got to dispute Father Martin. But he's saying we do not have the right to be wrong. This goes against all I've been taught. I was taught by my Catholic upbringing that God gave each of us free will. To say we do not have the right to be wrong means that we do not have free will, that we all should just follow blindly, that we have absolutely no control over our lives because we are controlled. If you don't have the right to be wrong, it is the pinnacle of contradictions. We are all wrong if there is one and only one correct guideline, and we would all have certainly sealed our fate, or should I say, our fate has been sealed for us because we cannot be wrong. Which is it? Do we or do we not have free will?
We have free will, but if that free will is correctly defined, that free will is the liberty to choose what is right. It's not simply caprice. Whatever I want, I do. Whatever I want to believe, I do believe. That's not freedom. That's not the Christian idea of liberty was never that. And number two, also, he must remember, it's a very intelligent question, but he must remember that the choice to be made must be made with God's grace. Because otherwise we make choices which have nothing to do with God at all, or with the truth of man's existence. So it's what you consider to be liberty. And liberty is best defined as the ability to do what you should do, to believe what you should believe. And you are not free to believe anything that you think is okay. You must align that with the revelation as it came through Jesus Christ and his church. If not, you're on the wrong line. It's a hard doctrine, but that's Catholicism, and that is basic Christianity.
The kind of dispute, or level of dispute that you're talking about within the church now, is very severe indeed. And the last time you and I met on the air, it was on the eve of 2 murders in the Vatican. Right. It was on the heels of news about the murder of a colleague of yours, an exorcist.
Right.
And both of those stories have disappeared, just simply gone away, and one cannot help but wonder if there is not about to be a war within the church itself, and if we're not going to see more of this kind of terrible, unimaginable violence.
I think, unfortunately, I must agree with you. We are going to see much more of that because the strain in the church is going to show. It will not be merely indifference, where people say it doesn't matter, you do what you like. I just don't bother about this Catholic business, this Catholic truth, this Catholic church, this Catholic priests and laws. It's not merely that. It's that they there is now a mainstream choice in morality and outlook and standards of living that is irreconcilable with Catholicism and with basic Christianity, to such a point that it is already a great liability to be a practicing Catholic, to be a practicing Christian. Big liability in the public square. It is difficult, and it's going to get more and more difficult. However, as one man said, the present moment is dry martyrdom. It could become wet. So, and then we have outbursts like what happened in the Vatican, which is a bad omen. And we have then the murder, the assassination of at least, not merely one aunt, by the way, but three people engaged in exorcism.
Three?
Yes. They weren't publicized. The other two were not publicized.
Have these occurred since the last that we knew about? Or
No, one of them before and one of them after.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but they have not been publicized. As you know, there's a general principle in the civil authorities in this country, and it's a good one, in general, that you do not emphasize. If you come across death, and there are obvious signs of Satanist worship, Satanist involution,
It is not publicized.
it is not publicized. If that part is hidden, kept quiet, because why? Well, because it disturbs people, because it is disturbing, because there's also the copycat syndrome.
There is, yes.
People do say, well, I'll do that too. You know, the local nut, somebody says, I better do that too, since that's getting so
Well,
much
with your very fundamentalist views, and the very provocative things you have said, have there been moments, Father, when you have been unsure of your own safety?
Oh, but I'm never sure of my safety any longer.
Mm-hmm.
For many years. In this sense, that I know that given certain conditions, I would be offed, as we say in the gentle language.
Mm-hmm.
But at the age of 77, how can you start bothering about that?
No,
I brushed with death.
I certainly agree.
Certain moments I have had a brush with death, which of course left me cold, as death always does. It's a clammy hand extended to you, momentarily anyway. But I can't live like that or think like that. Otherwise, I would dig a hole and climb into it and close it out for me. You know, what's the point in that?
Father, not long ago,
Yes.
somebody sent me, and I'm kicking myself 6 ways from Sunday.
Yes.
Somebody sent me what they said was the third secret of Fatima.
Yes.
I actually read it on the air, and then I somehow lost it. If anybody out there has it, please resend it to me. Now, it's my understanding that you have taken a vow of silence or secrecy. You have read the third secret. It was shared with you. Is that correct?
It was given to me to read, yes,
Yes.
one morning early in February 1960. And of course, before I got it, I had to take a very simple oath you always take of maintaining the secret. So the details of it I cannot communicate. In the actual verbiage and expression.
Yes. If this third secret of Fatima were made public,
Yes.
could it be the shock that the public, that the church needs?
It could be. And that is one reason why it's not published. And why it's sunk into a limbo, out of which it's not going to come easily. It would be a shock. There's no doubt about that. It would affect people in different ways, though, Art. Some people would, on being told that this was authentically the third secret of Fatima,
Mm-hmm.
they would get extremely angry.
Oh, I understand. Believe me.
Very angry.
Oh, believe me, I understand, Father. Stand by, and we'll get back to you after the bottom of the hour break. If anybody has it out there, and I know you do, I would appreciate your emailing it to me post haste, right away. Because what I would like to do is read it on the air and see if Father Martin would have comment on it. It might be a way of getting comment on it or verifying it if I actually had it in my hand. So if you have it out there, please send it to me. In the meantime, when we come back, I will ask Father Martin as much as we're able to about the third secret. It certainly would be a shock. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast to Coast AM. All right, here we go. And I really want to thank the person that transcribed this for me. The following is a transcription of what is possibly the third secret in Fatima, as read by Art Bell over the air on Coast to Coast AM on 5/14/98 at 34 minutes and 48 seconds into the program. And I began it with this preamble. All right, I in no way want the following as being authentic. I have no way of knowing. All I can tell you is it feels real. It is alleged to be the third secret of Fatima. You decide for yourself. Here we go. A great plague will befall mankind. Nowhere in the world will there be order. Satan will rule the highest places, determining the way of things. He will succeed in seducing the spirits of the great scientists who invent arms with which it will be possible to destroy a large part of humanity in a few minutes. Satan will have his power. The powerful who command the people and who will incite them to produce enormous quantities of arms. God will punish man more thoroughly than with the flood. There will come the time of all times and the end of all ends. The great and powerful will perish together with the small and weak. Even for the church, it will be the time of its greatest trial. Cardinals will oppose cardinals. Bishops will oppose bishops. Satan will walk among them. And in Rome, there will be changes. The church will be darkened, and the world will be shaking with terror. One great war will erupt in the second half of the 20th century. Fire and smoke will fall from the sky. The waters of the oceans will change into steam, and the steam will rise and overflow everything. The waters of the ocean will become mist. Millions and millions of people will die from hour to hour. Whoever remains alive will envy the dead. Everywhere one turns, one's glance, there will be, there is going to be anguish and misery, ruins in every country. The time draws nearer. The abyss widens without hope. The good to perish with the bad. The great with the small. The princes of the church with the faithful. The rulers with their people. There will be death everywhere because of the errors committed by non-believers and crazy followers of Satan, which will then, and only then, take control over the world. At the last, those who survive will at every chance newly proclaim God and His glory, and they will serve Him as when the world was not so perverted. That's it. Father Martin?
Yes, but
Any comments on that?
I've listened to that. And I suppose the measured response I should give to it is this. In two parts, or two statements. It is not the text which was given to me to read
Okay.
in 1960. There are elements in it which belong in the text.
So, in other words, I'm trying to step as carefully as I can. In other words, you're suggesting this is not precisely what you had, but there are elements of what you just heard.
Yes, there are elements which do belong to the third secret. That's about the most measured response I could give to it.
Okay, that's fine, and I will not ask you to say more, but bearing in mind what I just read,
Yes.
would you consider the third secret to be as traumatic as is suggested in what I read, or more so?
More so.
More so.
More so. Much more so. Without, again, I'm being very carefully.
Yes, sir.
The central element, third secret, is awful. And it's not in that.
It's not a question. It's not in the
No, it's not. Thank God.
Now, I guess I would ask this. I understand that you have taken an oath, but have you considered that the shock that is required to turn things around may be this very serious, and it may be that it should be revealed?
To your last sentence, my full assent. It should be revealed. But here's my difficulty. I'm one small little man. I have no public authority to do that. I do not know if that would be the will of God. And this would have such dire effect on much more than Christians, but many others. I can't make that decision. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
I can't make that decision. I have no assurance that God will. And it is a question of the supreme will of the world, the human race, its existence, its continuum, and its future. I had no authority.
Father, in what manner were you shown the third secret?
Because the cardinal who showed it to me had been present at a meeting held by Pope John XXIII in that year 1960 to outline to a certain number of cardinals and prelates what he thought should be done with John XXIII, Pope John XXIII, then Pope in 1960, did not think that he should publish the secret. It would ruin his, at that time, ongoing negotiations with Nikita Khrushchev, lost of all the Russians. And he also had a different outlook on life, which in 2 years later, opening the Vatican Council, he echoed very succinctly and almost contemptuously in the middle of his speech on October 11, 1962, in St. Peter's, to the assembled bishops who had come to the Vatican Council, and the visitors. The place was crowded, huge basilica. He derided, contemptuously, he called prophets of doom. And there was no doubt in any of our minds, we're talking about the three prophets of Fatima. Using that.
There are those within the church who minimize what is contained in the third secret.
Absolutely.
And then there are others who don't minimize it at all.
They exaggerate.
They exaggerate. So without minimizing or without exaggerating, you're telling me that what's in the third secret is more horrible than what I just read.
Yes, it is. But the two I just read, essentially, it is the outflow of natural powers pure statement walking, etc. like that, amongst men, etc. But essentially it is as if nature were broken against the human race. That's essentially after all these terrible catastrophes that chastise. And that's not the essence of the business. Not the frightening. Yeah. It does measure the imagination.
Well, again, in a sense, it would be such a shock that I understand that you have grave reservations about it, but if it would in effect right the church.
I say if it would, you know, I have no guarantee. I have no authority to say, yes, the net result will be plus, minus. I have no authority. I have no revelation. No angel has tapped me on the shoulder. I have no private divine dream like St. Joseph or the Joseph in the Old Testament had. I have no authority. And I cannot arrogate to myself that authority because I may be putting my foot in my mouth, put it in a mild fashion. I may be going ahead of the Lord. And we're supposed to walk, in the words of one Roman saint, 5 yards behind the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit. And besides that, there's the question of shock, scandal, of frightening people and polarizing my human society to which I belong and to which I'm happy to belong. God made me to belong to it as a member of the human race. I cannot do that. Not just like that. I just can't. I wish I could, because in human calculation, yes, this will shock, this will jerk people up, this will fill the confessionals on a Saturday evening, this will fill up the cathedrals and the basilicas and the churches with worshippers kneeling down, striking their breath. Maybe, because at the back of it all, there's this regnant, waning, as it were, Catholic truth, that nothing like that can happen unless God gives the grace, and I have no authority to presume that He will give me the grace. Give the grace on the occasion of my doing a thing like that.
With what, how much weight, Father, do you give to the entire Fatima revelations?
I consider it to be the key event in the of the Roman Catholic organization and the defining event for the near future of the Church in the next millennium, the third millennium. It's the defining event. And that is why strong men, I mean, see, when we speak about strong men, the amazing thing about the statecraft people who practice the craft of states, like Casaroli, who's just died, or Pope John Paul II. It's what people all the time say about great figures in history like Napoleon, like Hitler, like Stalin. They had a will of indestructible power, and they could oppose the united will of millions and make their point of view stick to a certain degree anyway until they fell, so they became a cropper, as we say in England. Similarly, in Rome, there are men with strong wills. They're in statecraft all their lives. They are engaged in macro-government, not merely of religion, but in state. They're up there amongst the great. And they will not touch this with a barge pole.
In what way does the Church have a role in what many see coming as a one-world government, a one-world control point?
There are two responses to that, very brief responses. One is the response already chosen by the leaders, by the managers, by the prelates. by the papacy at the end of this millennium. And then there is what one sometimes thinks will be God's response. The response at the present moment is this, beginning with John 23rd, Pope John 23rd, and then with Paul VI, and now with John Paul II. The response is, let us cooperate. Let us join, as Paul VI says in his famous speech in December 1965, let's cooperate with man to build his habitat. And John Paul II is an ardent supporter of the tendency to one world government. For geopolitical reasons, he wants to bring in the brand of Christianity, of course, and Catholicism, but he certainly is in favor of it. And when he addressed the United Nations, his last big letter to them, his salute was this: I, John, Bishop of Rome, and a member of humanity. Now this was no longer what the Pius IX or Pius X. Pius X would have said at the beginning of this century, I am the vicar of Jesus Christ. If you do not listen to my voice, then you are going to be damned forever. We will not participate in any government behavior, in any government plans which do not recognize the kingship of Christ. That is completely absent. There now is the policy of cooperation with the formation of the European Union, with the cooperation with the United Nations, and the Vatican and the Church have entered the list in the struggle amongst the Assembly, the General Assembly of the United Nations, and in the non-governmental organizations, what we call the eco-governmental organizations.
So it's well underway.
Well underway. That is the response. And remember, the Vatican has, on Vatican Hill, it has about, I think it varies, over 140 ambassadors from the nations. It is an integral part, and it's built itself into it over the centuries of our international life. And it has ambassadors and representatives in over 90 countries, including Russia, including Israel. It has its representative in Beijing, in quite a diplomatic state yet, but then we get to that.
All right, Father Martin, again, referring to what I read, which you say has partial relevance. Would you imagine that the person who wrote this had been privy in some way to the original text?
Yes. At least by word of mouth, not by
I understand.
reading.
All right, Father, hold on. Well, if that's the case, and you would like a copy of this, or you would like to read it, it is now on the website. Thank you, Keith Rowland, at www.artbell.com. What, at least in part, is relevant to the third sequence that's on the website right now. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast to Coast AM. Your phone calls coming next. I'll say for my own edification that if anybody else has what they consider to be a valid copy of the third secret of the Fatima, why, by all means, send it to me. And I am curious about just one thing, Father.
Yeah.
If I actually got a copy of the precise text,
Yes.
and I were to read it and ask you if that was in fact correct,
I would have to say yes. It would work.
I see.
I couldn't tell you a lie. If I wanted to sort of cavil, I could say, I can't answer.
And I'd be able
Which
to...
in itself would be an admission.
It certainly would. All right, very good. Then I'm going to leave it at that and hope that somebody will send me the text and we'll try that on you. First time caller line, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Hello.
Yes, all right.
Where are you, sir?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, all right.
I want you to comment on the third secret. Yes. I'm doing a little bit of speculating here. I converted to Christianity a couple years ago. And what I came out of was
very difficult religion, being the exact antithesis of Christianity. And when I was in that religion, I heard many things. One of the things that I heard, and I feel strongly related to this, with regard to that very secret, it has to do with this European system that's coming to pass now. Something that I heard was that there was going to be an unholy trinity, basically not the Holy Trinity coming out of that European system. Basically a super dictator coming out of Germany who would be the beast, and soon coming from France, and basically the Antichrist and the defeat of Vatican. I'm very terrified about this. I was completely trembling.
Well, don't be afraid.
It's what I've heard, what I know.
Do not be afraid, because your fear does not come from God. And your fear is a weapon used by your mortal enemy, the devil, Lucifer, whatever you want to call it, and to try to dominate you in a soft way. But take refuge and hide in the womb and the passion and the life and resurrection of Jesus. And he will just tell you again. Fear is just a weapon used against you. Unbalance your soul. Don't let it dominate you. Please, do not let it dominate you. I will pray for you. And you did come out of a Luciferian form of religion, and your soul hasn't been destroyed.
We're very lucky that, unfortunately, there's some people that are left behind.
I know, but, you know, every man for himself when it comes down to this. Try to do your best. Pray for them, because unless they get grace from Christ, they won't be changed. But do not fear.
All right, Colin?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm just, the mass media voice you keep hearing about, coming along again, all this pre-millennial tension. A lot of what I've been through in my life, I've had a very unusual life, a very spiritual life, which is very difficult for me to come to terms with. And there's been so much religion in my life. I was a very, very young child, and I've been exposed to so many forms of religion. Just things I can tell you is in my life I've seen.
Yes, let's ask this. Father Martin, he mentioned there's so much premillennial tension, and there is.
Sure.
There's a great deal of it. Is it justified?
To a certain degree, no, it's not justified. But then there's the justification arises from this art that I think, if you've done the reflection necessary, there are such huge questions being decided beyond our will. You understand me? Beyond our
I do.
capacity to touch them. For instance, I am a citizen, I vote. You're a citizen, you vote. But we know, you and I, that by the time our vote, which we faithfully record each time there's an election, local, state or federal, or presidential, by the time it reaches those who make the laws which govern us, it is much diluted because of our political system. And we know that decisions are made not at the will of the American people, but at the will of the Canadian people, but at the will of people who govern the flow of capital and capital goods throughout the world, each state which our world is under them. That is such a hazardous situation, as we've all learned watching the Asian tigers crumble into puppies, and the biggest Asian tiger, Japan, ordering 5 years ago, is protecting our economy. Remember that time? And now it's not. And we have this precarious balance of the European Union, Britain is in, and it's not in. Germany is a great power, but it isn't. France, by the way, France is the most economically sound center of Europe. France. And not because they won the soccer victory. somebody said, Austin means Brazilian flop.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's interesting you mention this. Number one, I just got back from Paris. I was there during the World War.
Oh, you were?
I saw the Brazilian loss.
It was a lot. I mean, it is heartbreaking.
It was an amazing game, and I guess Brazil just didn't play.
Just left to come.
Something happened to me that I would like to ask you about. I have had, over the years, many guests on what is called an out-of-body experience, where people think that their soul or their being actually leaves their body. I have heard many descriptions of how this occurs. That frequently there is a feeling of being paralyzed and a large humming sound, and people will find themselves outside their body. I was lying in a hotel room in Paris, and something happened to me, Father. There was no humming, there was no feeling of being paralyzed, but never in my life have I experienced this, and I have a hard time finding words to describe what I'll do the best I can. Suddenly, without question, accelerated at an indescribable speed straight up into a place that didn't have form and didn't have things that I saw, but it had indescribable joy. It had the most satisfying, incredible feeling I've ever felt. It was very short. I was very shocked, very surprised by it.
It was brief,
And I came
sharp.
right back that fast, and I woke up my poor wife and sat there saying, "Hon, I don't know, this was, I've had in my life flying dreams before.
Sure.
And when I wake up, I recognize that I have been dreaming.
Yeah.
I did not dream. This is something that happened to me.
No, that was an out-of-body experience in the technical sense of the word. Not that you left your body, but scribble on a bit of paper the name of the place you were sleeping and what part of Paris.
I didn't want to, it was so amazing and so startling and so overwhelming that I wanted to have it again right away. I didn't want to.
And now lose it. But you can't recall it. You can't call it back. You can't make it re-happen all over again.
No.
It's genuine, and it didn't. You weren't able to recall it. I must tell you, if that does happen to you, it's a privilege. And because it is joy-making and exhilaration-making and ultimately peace-making and confidence-making, it is from God. And it's very hard to explain it. And by the way, you don't try to recall it. You don't try to explain it. You do express your thanks in your particular way.
That's right.
In your own way, you must express your thanks. It will come unbidden and go away at its own pace. It is sudden. It's intuitive. It does belong in fast sense beyond your senses. And quite rightly, it had those marks. There was no parameters. There was no...
None of them. None of them.
No physical sounds like humming or...
No.
That's the marks of... you see, after the general principle, who might have explained that to an old master like you, there's a general principle that the discernment of spirit, as they call it, if an experience such as this brings peace, brings joy, brings exhilaration, it doesn't breed in you arrogance and pride, but gratitude. Gratitude.
I'm old, I'm not a master.
Well, but when it does, that's from God. All good things come from above, come from God. and that you can treasure it. And by the way, if you want to, there will be a memory of that forever within you. Don't try and remembers, it will come back of its own accord to remind you. But it's for people who are not studying.
All right, I'm bouncing back for a second to the third secret. Here's a fax from Bob in Clare, Wisconsin. It's kind of rough. It says, Art, why would God give this prophecy, referring of course to the third secret, to a select few and instruct them not to give it to his people? It sounds to me that it is man who has decided to keep it a secret from the people and not God. Can there be any greater sin than this?
Well, whoever this man is on target. The secret was meant for the people, not for the Pope, not for the bishop, not for the Holy Office. It was meant to be published in 1960 by explicit order, by the mandate of heaven. John the 23rd, God bless them and bless them, with God now, whatever form that is, he decided not to. He had his own reasons. We think, with all due respect and veneration, etc., that he made a very bad mistake. And indeed, what probably your correspondent to the conference doesn't realize, or perhaps he does, let me remind him that in 1963, there was a second appearance, this time in Spain, in Garabandal. The opening words of that revelation were, "The corn my sons have not listened to my orders mandate. Here's what's going to happen." And the message was very dire. Repetition of the third secret in brief form. So, it wasn't the will of God. The will of God has been frustration. But you see, let me remind you, and that the particular man, that the will of God is frustrated continuously. That doesn't mean it wasn't his will, and his will not work out finally. So, it's a pity. And eventually the secret will be revealed and will work its way out. But this time painfully.
All right, Father. Rock Hard Line, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. It's an honor. Father, I visited your website. I left a message a while back. I don't know. You're probably very busy.
No, I take all my messages and download them all. Go over them.
I guess I related to you that ever since I was young, I had a sort of a, I won't say premonition. I don't think it was that, it was more subtle. That everything, it seems to be without purpose. No, I guess what I'm trying to ask now is I'm 37 years old.
Yeah.
I don't have the same love of life that my friends have. And I seem to have in the back of my mind the sense that, well, it's all pretty much for nothing. Now, it isn't depression per se, but it is a sort of intuitive thing that, well, maybe everybody's putting a little more into this thing they'll ever be able to take out.
And it's worse.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, has this to do, perhaps, with a premonition or some sort of sense of what may be coming? In this case, you mentioned there's a secret of that. I'm 37 years old. Let me ask them, by the time I'm 45, will I see these terrible things, if they're, however terrible they may be?
If I were to sort of abandon any strict control and give you what I think, that's what you're asking. I think that you're 37. By the time you were 45, you will have seen the worst.
My God.
Now, add this into the factor this following thing in. You have an angel, a guardian angel. You also have a birthday angel. The latter was assigned to you on your birthday. The guardian angel was assigned to you when you were just a little zygote clinging to the endometrial wall of your mother's womb. They accompany you. Some people, they start talking to them very early on. Other people, they don't. It all depends on the angels and the one. I would classify this as belonging to your angel messages, holding you. And it may be that you will be as God will demand something special of you. That you give me something special. I do not know, sir. I don't know you. I probably will never talk.
Sir, we've got to hold it there, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I very much appreciate your call, Father Martin. hold on just a moment, and we will be right back. This is Coast to Coast AM. Don't touch that button. I will dream and I think to myself, what a wonderful. All right, what I'm going to do is read just the preamble to this and see if Father finds identification of this. It says, "Do not worry, dear child. It is I, the Mother of God, speaking to you and asking you to proclaim in my name the following message to the whole world. In doing so, you will meet strong opposition. Be firm in your faith, however, and you will triumph over all opposition. Listen and remember well what I am about to tell you. Men must become converted. They must implore pardon for the sins that they have committed, and for those they will commit again in the future. You have requested a sign by which all men would understand my utterances given to humanity through you. This miracle you have seen at this very moment. It was the great miracle of the sun. All have seen it, believers and unbelievers, peasants, townsmen, scholars, and journalists, laymen and priests. And now proclaim in my name." And what follows is the secret. Does that, Father, sound familiar?
There is no preamble.
Well, I'm not sure preamble was the right.
Yeah, or there is no introductory statement. The actual text of the itself.
So you don't recognize what I just read?
Not as part of that one sheet of paper. No, but it may well be that what follows.
Well, then let me give you just a little bit of what follows. A great punishment will come over the entire human race. Not yet today, nor tomorrow, but in the second half of the 20th century. What I have already made known at La Salette by the children Melanie and Maximin, I believe it is. I repeat to you, humanity has not changed as God requested it to. It has sinned and trampled underfoot the gift it had received. There is no order anywhere. Satan rules, even in the highest positions, and determines the direction of things. He will succeed in worming his way even unto the highest summits of the church. He will succeed in seducing the minds of great scholars who will invent armaments with which half of humanity can be destroyed in seconds. He will have the mighty among the peoples under his sway and will induce them to turn out mass production of arms. If humanity does not amend itself, I will be forced to let go the arm of my son. If the mighty of the earth and of the church do not oppose this, I myself will do it, and I will ask God, my Father, to allow to come over men the punishment of his justice. It will then be that God will punish men more harshly than he did with the flood, and the mighty and the powerful shall perish along with the humble and weak, and it goes on from there.
Yeah, no, it's not the text. It's not specific enough. The text is very dry and specific, and for all that is there, very accurate as regards the general Fatima interpretation of modern history. It's not the text of the Prestige that I know.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Hi. Where are you, sir?
This is Bob from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Listen, first of all, I want to thank Father Valentine Martin for appearing at the Sunday show again.
And that's our bill, that's all.
Yeah, I really didn't know it was. Yeah, there weren't a lot of people I know that are out there that do appreciate you, even though there might be maybe a lot that don't, but I'm one of the ones that really do, and I listen to the show, it's been great. Anyway, what is your website, first of all? Because I want to maybe email some.
Alright, hold on a moment.
Well, listen, caller, if you're used to going to my website, all you've got to do is go up to the guest area and click on Father Martin's name and go right on there.
Okay, then. All right, well, Father Martin, I have like a ton of questions I can ask you, but I gotta be pretty selective here.
I think so.
Okay, let's see. All right, did you ever maybe make known, mentioning of a warning that's supposed to be given to mankind that came out of Garabandal?
Yes. It's not a warning, Bob. We have no word in English. Avertissement in French is avertimiento. In Spanish, it means a putting on notice. Like the sheriff pushing up a notice at the front door saying, you haven't paid your rent for 3 months, if you don't pay it by the following month, you will be blah, 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 blah. That's what it's a putting on notice.
You know what, I did have something very similar to that last call that was 37 years old that mentioned about that feeling. Could you maybe give a little more emphasis or like, describe that more, what it could be?
Well, you see, for one reason or another, certain people have a greater perception of what their angel tells them. We don't know why. We don't know why. We do not know why. But it's in that nature. It's always comforting, but it's always admonishing, in a gentle sense of the word.
Yeah, because it seems like I've lost a lot of zest for things in the world, and it's like I'm being pointed out of the world into another direction. And I've had weird things happen to me back from 1990 on,
And you've got a spiritual director, Bob.
no.
I know that, by the way, it's a very rare animal nowadays. But find a good spiritual director, they do exist.
How about
At a certain point, Bob, just finished off. At a certain point, you just go around in circles unless you have a spiritual guide.
Okay, can I just ask you one quick question?
Go ahead.
All right. Is it within the church's law? Like, is it possible to have maybe one of your relatives who died and who's maybe now a saint in heaven come to you and tell you something in the manner of a dream or
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Quite feasible. Quite feasibly. Quite feasibly. You must be very careful with your imagination, of course. You must be, not be deceived. And then you need a spiritual guide, judging those things.
Or it is feasible.
Oh, yes, quite feasible.
All right. What's your...
The principle is this, that your flesh and blood, above all your own flesh and blood, have a spiritual responsibility that nobody else has. And in the grace of God, and if they're with God, they can communicate.
All right. Weston Rockies, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Good morning.
Right now, Father Martin, it's an honor to speak with both of you. This is Michael from San Jose.
Hi, Michael.
Michael?
I have 3 questions for you, Father Martin. And they sent me this book, Constance the Devil. I have read some accounts, first edition, hardback, looking at it, but I'm halfway through your other book first, so I can't get to the other one yet. There is a passage in your introduction that says, the church is the only element in society with authority and the available remedies to counteract this manifest evil on the possession. What is it about the church itself? I was always raised with the thought that the church is the collective sum of the congregation, that the practices within it also, the people that make it up.
It's not quite that. It is the assembled people who are in a state of grace, sanctified grace in this life, and those who are in purgatory, and those who are in heaven already.
Okay.
They, as the mystical body of Christ, but the Christ who coagulates them all into a mystical being. And that is the church. Now we have also got an external organization, which Art and I have been discussing tonight, in its sorry condition. That's only the external organization. The church itself is this mystical body of believers in earth, purgatory, and in heaven. And they have, through their prelates, through their authentic prelates, they have the power of control of evil. They want to.
Now, how is it manifested through those priests, bishops, cardinals, monsignors to give you, I should say you, as an exorcist, the power to combat the demon?
You must have authority from them. They must authorize you. Otherwise, you haven't got the power. And when you try to exercise, you'll be caught.
But if they use, but I'm just sitting here listening to you count for 2 hours, which I believe the church does need a manifest, so to speak. Even when it comes down to when I go to Catholic Church in the morning masses of watching the fathers delegate the responsibility of giving out the Eucharist to other people, to sick people, when they're running that off, it makes me wonder, you know, just how serious are they taking certain responsibilities?
Well, Michael, now you put your finger on a very broad spot. The difficulty is, first of all, we're not sure at all that the Novus Order, the new form of the Mass, is valid. Even if it were valid, there are certain laws that the priests and bishops are breaking now because the distribution of the sacraments. It's a very complex question, and you can't trust their judgment. It's very hard to give you a hard and fast rule for single instances, but you've got to be very careful.
Okay. Well, I promise my next few questions will be a lot simpler. In the second story of your book, Husband to the Devil, it was the Virgin and the Girl Person. Yeah, one of the priests whom you finally entered the story into suffered irreparable damage as a result of the exorcism. Have you ever, I mean, I know you're 77 and you're still alive, but have you ever come that close to having something like that? He got his ailment because of a mistake he had. Have you ever come across a situation where you had Michael making a mistake and...
Yes, I'll tell you something, Michael. In general, you never come back from an exorcism same man.
Yeah, I read that, but you can also put yourself in further jeopardy.
You do. You endanger yourself, but after a while, the grace of God can save you. But you do. You suffer irreparable damage in one sense.
Well, he's asking whether you ever have come close to that kind of disastrous person.
Yes, I have.
You have.
Yeah. And my last question, I guess, is in reading Husband to the Devil, that doesn't seem, like I said, I've only read it halfway through. I'm right now with the Uncle Ponto.
Oh, I'll talk to it.
Like, I'm wondering when we're going to start reading the Malachi Chronicles. Are we ever going to get your work, a chronicle listing of some of your cases where you handled them?
Good question, brother.
Good question. I must tell you, Michael, I bore me. I really do. I'm bored with myself. So I keep going away from myself. And I find it hard to believe that I should write a personal story. I really do.
So you may not do it.
I mean, I have no inclination at all. I'm not to do it at all. As I say, I'm a bore to me. I really am. And, I don't like me in that sense. I like me in the sense that I want to go ahead. Even try to behave forever. Or my family. But I don't think I'm interesting in that sense. I'm for a written chronic.
Well, we think you are.
Very kind of you are for a poor old guy like me.
First time calling live, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. How are you? Okay, sir, where are you?
I'm in Hayward, California.
Okay.
I was reading the book, The Decline and Fall of the Roman Church.
So, just yes.
And one question I had in that, where you had thought that by the year 2000, recorded here, that there will no longer be a religious institution recognizable as the Roman Catholic Church of today.
We're almost there.
Right. And the question I had was, what's the rush, what's the real hurry to unite with the Orthodox churches that the Pope seems so urgent to connect with them before the year 2000? Is there any connection?
Well, 2 comments on that. I didn't get your name, by the way.
Oh, Timothy.
Timothy. Yes, Timothy, 2 questions, and that's a very relevant question you asked. First of all, that idea of ecumenism is something I disagree totally with.
Right.
We, properly speaking, don't want to join with anybody. We think everybody should join us, number one. Number two, the rush to ecumenism is tied to the concept that Pope John Paul II, and he is my Pope, has, because his ideal, remember as well, that you can interpret through his words and his actions, but his ideal is to form a dynamic, a real dynamic, as he calls it. Catholics joined with Protestants, and joined with Jews, and joined by Muslims, and Hindus, and all believers, creating an irresistible force within the nations of the earth. That's his idea. That's what he labors for. That's what he talks about the year 2000 for. That's why he wants to go to Mount Sinai. That's why he wants to go to Ur of the Chaldees, where Abraham came from. He wants to end up his celebrations in Jerusalem. That's this whole concept.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, there's no rush at all. Question of God's way.
Right. Yeah. I was just interested in that because I know that there's a long connection with the Orthodox churches, where the history of the church, where you can see a significant difference of the Roman Catholic Church today. When you go back in history, even when we're dealing with the Eastern churches, it's very POD, Post Office Box 295, Lodi, Lodi, Wisconsin, zip code 53555.
And how much should they include when I order?
I think the price is something like 24 or 25. Can't check that immediately. Wish I could. I should.
Probably somewhere in the area of 24.95.
It's in the that.
All right, Father Martin, stand by. We'll be right back to you. Top of the hour. I'm Mark Bell. This is Coast to Coast Game. All right, here we go. Just a couple of things I want to quickly read. One from a friend in Australia, Father, who says, I had a Jesuit priest tell me more of the third secret of Fatima years ago in Perth. He said, among other things, the last pope would be under control of Satan. Pope John fainted, thinking it might be him. We were interrupted before I could hear the rest. A comment on that?
Yes. Under they were reading or being told the text of the Lucas.
Oh my.
Sounds like it. Should be vague to hesitate.
Yes.
Sounds like it.
All right, and then just this one as well. This is from Dan in Davenport, Iowa. It says, I was told by an old Catholic priest while I was stationed in Asia in the late 70s that in the last days, nature will attack everything we have and know, and that all food will be gone. Starving will be so widespread that families will eat other members of their families. God, just to stay alive. This madness will be so widespread there will be no place that will be safe and no place to hide until all the peoples who do not believe in God are dead. Then life can start anew.
No, that's not
Right.
it's not.
But that first one,
Yes, it is. And there's a certain element in the second one, which is true.
okay. And I'm sorry to be pushing on this.
No, big deal at all. I wish to God you had the obstacles.
Okay, what's it about these? You're on there with Father Malachi Martin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. This is Joseph from Hawaii.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Father. Good morning, Art. I have a question, Father. I'm a little confused. Did you say you have no authority to reveal the secret? Wasn't the secret revealed to the nun and then onto a pope, and then wasn't it supposed to be revealed to the public at first? And now
It was suppressed by the church.
Yes.
It was supposed to be released to the public in general.
did it have the authority from the higher?
No, that doesn't give me authority.
Okay, I'm just a little confused. It seems like I'm not clear on the story, but
What he's saying, I think, Father, is that if God's original wish was for it to be revealed then, and it was not, then is not the authority present now as it was then
Well,
for it to be revealed? Is that correct?
I see his argument, a very plausible argument, and many people would agree with him.
and with all due respect, Father, if you don't reveal the secret, and if the secret is held, wouldn't the members of the Catholic Church be perpetuating the oppression of the secret?
Of the truth, yes, of course. Yes, of course they are.
Therefore, it should be told.
In the Catholic Church, we work through the hierarchy, beginning with the Pope and the Bishop. And I cannot take to myself the authority to overrule them. I think they should be overruled, but I haven't got the authority to do that. I wish I had, Joseph. I wish I had. I haven't got the authority to authorize papacy unless I have from a bishop. Okay, Bishop of Rome.
All right, I understand that answer.
Authority is a very, very fixed thing. Because I have no other guide on this place of this earth. It's the voice of the Roman teaching. Magisterium Romanum.
All right, Father. First time calling line, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning,
Where are you, John?
I'm in Miami Shores.
Miami, right?
And I want to thank Tom for some of the books he's written, particularly The Keys to This Blood. Thank you, John. I've always been very interested in politics and world policy. He filled in a lot of the questions that had always bothered me from childhood. And I encourage you to continue with your legacy.
Shall do, please, sir.
I was going to ask about, you may have been a saint, are you the same name you have Malachi of Ireland?
Yeah, Malachi, yeah. He was a different, he was a bishop.
And you refer to a final pope, a pope like Peter of Rome? Is there
Yes,
anything?
he has a list of popes. The only thing about that list of popes is he doesn't say that he has all the popes finished. But he does refer to the two last popes. He gives a Latin sort of name. And Petrus Romanus is the last one preceding. He was Gloria Olivae, the glory of the olive. These are all names, and actually the names Malachi gives to a certain part of popes, I don't say Malachi does, they're very interesting names, and they always fit. This is the first pope he described as Labor Solis. And Labor Solis is a classic, a very classic expression for eclipse of the sun. And in fact, the day that John Paul II was born, there was an eclipse of the sun. It's a very funny list of names, and it's not complete, the only thing, John.
Now, this talk of making Mary a co-redemption,
Yes, they're not talking of making her that. A lot of people say we should acknowledge that she is, but there are difficulties in the way.
now, is there something I once heard from one of the sisters, I went to Catholic school in Massachusetts, that saying the rosary might help make God's path become reality. Are there, I know you're reluctant to share what's in the letter, I guess, that is cast, and on the 23rd decided not to
Yes,
publish it at that time.
there's nothing about the rosary in the secret.
But is there any positive step of believing a person can do to help perhaps reduce the suffering of others, or
Yes, there is, and there's a whole literature on that, John, which you can read. And it's published by various organizations. One is called the Blue Army, another is called, there's several books and pamphlets and periodicals and magazines published that explain how we can. And there's lots of instruction on that.
Blue Army? Is that something I should be able to find in a Christian bookstore, Catholic bookstore?
Yes, you should. It's headed by a man called Bruner, Nicholas Bruner, Father Nicholas Bruner.
And I appreciate the opportunity to ask you these questions, but
Thank God, well,
is there
is our Creator.
there's a movement. I didn't see much of it in Massachusetts, but here in Florida, there's a church, actually called a Catholic church, it's a shrine, and they do the old Roman rites, the Roman Mass. Is
Well, John, for your information, I say the Roman Mass every morning. Well, an hour time I'll be saying.
It feels, I don't know if it's because they changed the Mass on the third grade, but it feels more wholesome to me. Is it all right to take that path as opposed to
Between you and me and the Holy Spirit is the only Mass.
All right. I appreciate your call. Father, I said I would ask this, and so I'd love to ask it. I have people of many stripes and opinions and beliefs on this program. Dear Art, would you please ask Father Martin his opinion of Benjamin Trent and this Lord Maitreya, supposedly alive and well in London? Does Father Martin consider Lord Maitreya to be the Antichrist?
No. No.
Do you have any comments beyond that?
Well, I'm Clem and the Maitreya are fulfilling a certain function pre-Antichrist. Yeah, but they're not the Antichrist.
All right, we'll leave it right there. And one other question. Today, certain prophetic scholars are very much interested in why Russia and President Pope are in discussions more and more clearly sharing the Russian language, which they can speak to understand around them. Why are they in talks?
They're in talks because John Paul's concept of Gorbachev's function is that in reality he is destined to exercise a certain role in the creation of the New World Order. And John Paul II is very keen on not just creating the New World Order.
I had a feeling that might be exactly what you were going to say. Wildfire Line, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Good morning. It's also Oklahoma?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I've had a question for Father Malachi. A quick one about that, and I would like to relate something that happened here in the house. It was kind of frightening, and I wanted to continue.
Sure.
Father Malachi, can you tell us if our country, the United States, is mentioned specifically in the future?
No, it's not mentioned specifically. But something very well, but they did mention.
Okay. I wanted to call on your professional experience as an exorcist to get your opinion about what happened here. I'll try to be fast. I know the earphone is precious. It's exciting my mother. She's 83 and good health, but she is demented. I took her to the front room for her afternoon nap. It was a couple months ago. But on the sofa, I left. I was halfway down the hall when I heard a horrible shriek. I ran back to the room, and she was in total body violent convulsions. I had never seen
Your body combustion.
Yes, Father. It was so violent, it was hard to breathe. I tried to put her shoulders down on the sofa for fear I might break one of her bones or even one of mine. It was so horrible. She was shrieking the entire time. I'd never heard her shriek. She's not a screamer, never has been, even before she became ill. This went on for 3 or 4 minutes, and suddenly she collapsed backwards, and her head fell over to the left. The poor granddaughter would say, listen to you over, I beg your pardon?
What's your question about all that?
Okay, what happened afterwards, Father? I'm looking down into her eyes. I didn't know what to do. I've never seen anyone die. Suddenly, a small white ridge formed along the lower edge, the lower eyelid from the white tissue of the eyeball. It was in a horizontal plane from the nose to the ear. It began to move slowly up through the white tissue, through the iris of the eye, and the eyes turned yellow. People disappeared. There was just a fuzzy outline around the eye. I thought this was what happened to everyone when they died. So I didn't know what to do.
Did she die?
No, she didn't. I thought she was dead, but she was still as a stone, and all the color left her face. It turned this awful yellowish gray.
All right, well, okay. I can almost answer that. I would say that a medical diagnosis is required long before you would get to the consideration of an exorcism. There are many older people in this country now, worldwide in fact. We're living longer, and dementia occurs. Dementia of various sorts begins to occur in people, and it's very easy to mistake that for something that would require an exorcism. And you'd have to go an awful long way before you would make that determination. Is that
Right
correct?
now, right. It's
Okay,
very frightening to me.
sure.
But as we say, it would be a good physical examination, first of all, the competent doctor. Have you done that?
No, she's now gone.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
But you're right, I totally, you said what I would have said. That was my commentary.
And you can't do that kind of diagnosis on the phone.
Oh,
East of the Rockies, you're on there with Father Malachi Martin. Hello. Where are you, sir? Hinesville, Maryland. You're going to have to yell at us. I can barely hear it.
very famous. I'm in Maryland. I have one question. An angel. Now, I've been spared my second appointment in life. And they believe in angels. I have no perception of anyone looking at me. So I'm just spared.
He's asking, Father, about guardian angels.
Yes. I heard him, what I got was that he has no perception that anything is taking care of him.
Right.
Well, that's the common perception, all right. But he should cultivate his angel. How do you cultivate him? You pray to him and ask his intercession. And you do something in his honor. Say a prayer in his honor, or you visit a church in his honor. Cultivate it. And he will talk.
Remarkable advice. I had a guest on Sunday, Brad Steiger was his name, he was a well-known author.
Yes.
And he believes firmly in guardian angels, but the one caution that he gave out is never pray to your guardian angel.
I know. Well, there are those of us who pray continually to our angels. I don't know why Rob really forbids that. It's against all the practice of the Catholic Church. You don't pray to them as God, you pray to them as an angel, especially consigned to take care of you. But I'd love to hear Rob please do that. That would be good.
Actually, Brad Steiger. People confuse him with Rob Steiger. Brad Steiger.
Right, I'd like to know why you say that.
Well, now that you've brought it up, I think that I'll get the two of you together and we'll find out.
Good idea. I look forward to that.
All right, Father Martin, stretch run. Stand by. We're at the bottom of the hour. We'll be right back. I'm Art Bell, and this is Coast to Coast AM. Down to Father Malachi. Father, welcome back. As always, the time just flies by.
It always goes like a dream.
It really does. And here in the middle of the night, all right, well, I have people lined up like a gazillion to talk to you. First time calling line, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Good morning.
Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Father Malachi.
Good morning.
And God bless you for giving all your time on our show, and I admire your stamina and your patience. Okay, my query is, about a year and a half ago, I read an interesting article in a publication that's dedicated to psychic phenomena, UFOs, hauntings, exorcisms, etc. In this magazine, there was a story about the death of the previous pope, and he was discussing certain problems with the Vatican with the Secretary of State, who is also a cardinal, I believe. And that night, he had these papers that this edict that he was going to read before the heads of the church, you know, the popes and the bishops and the cardinals. And he had discovered the pope a scandal in the Vatican bank, money laundering, involving cardinals and mafia bankers. Also, the Pope wanted to lower the ban on contraception, and because of it, he was poisoned by the cardinal. Now, have you read the story or heard about it?
Yes, I have. The one I'm recollecting was also a book by a man called David Yalom.
I see. And,
that's the one you're talking about?
yes, I believe it is. And actually, this was all predicted by Nostradamus.
Yes, a lot of it was predicted, but Nostradamus can be read more than one way, you know. But to get back to the actual Yalom theory, there are a lot of things in David Yalom that are unsubstantiated. Like he says, we spent, I think, 200 hours talking to the secretary of that pope who died after 34 days as pope. But I know that secretary very well. He never saw Yalom. I've heard his story. As regards we didn't need anything to tell us that there were Vatican scandals about money. As of 1974, 75, there's been a lot of trouble with money. The death of that pope will come for what? Very suspicious.
Yeah. It also said that when the housekeeper came in the morning and discovered the pope was dead, and he was still clutching those papers that he was going to read before the hierarchy church, and there was a Bible, and there was a Bible on the table, which was poison. That's how he was killed through poison. And they said when he was injected with embalming fluid because they wanted to have an autopsy that would reveal the poison in his bloodstream. Now, was that
I've heard all these stories myself, Father.
Yeah, some of them are accurate, some of them are inaccurate. The pertinent is that there's some mysterious circumstances in the death cycle. He didn't die naturally, nobody believes he did. The details are left to the imagination of people like David Young. I've nothing to share on that at all, except to say that John Paul I was probably done in. Who did it? Well, to ask my opinion, but it takes a long time to explain if we haven't got that time. It's a lot of men within and outside the Vatican who could not put up with the reforms that he was going to inaugurate.
And I asked you this earlier, you don't really rule out that kind of violence in the coming days, do you?
No, I do not.
Long line, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Where are you calling from, please? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, that's you.
I'm calling from Northwest California,
Okay.
and I heard the caller refer a previous caller to literature by the Blue Army.
Yes.
I was wondering if he is aware that the Blue Army was on a lecture circuit in the mid-70s revealing the third secret of Fatima. And if he is aware of that, if that is accurate.
Yes. Father Bruno and his organization never revealed the actual text. The actual text.
I attended a lecture in the mid-70s, and I don't remember it all, unfortunately, after it was so frightening, I just actually couldn't comprehend it. The only two things I remember that he said, it referred to a lot of civil unrest, and that children would be disobedient to their parents, and they would be tattooing their bodies and piercing their bodies, and children would be killing children.
Yes.
And those are the only two things that I seem to recall that is that.
It's not the actual content. The actual killing children, unfortunately.
Yes.
That's not the sensational part of it. As I remember that.
All right. Eastern Rockies, good morning. You're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Where are you, please?
Yes, I'm from Kansas City.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Father Martin, it's a great pleasure to hear you, talk.
Thank you very much for saying that.
And my question, and maybe I'll have a comment afterwards, is that do you see the Pope at some time or another, at one point, giving up the secret of Nero?
No.
No. Okay. My comment is that if what I've been hearing on the rest of your programs with the Major and Scanlon and the rest of it,
Yes.
if that's leading up to what the third secret, in the third secret, what you read, according to Father Martin,
Yes.
is sort of a mild version of
Yes.
what it says.
Yes.
I really don't think I want to hear what the third secret is.
Well,
It's a very understandable, sir. Very understandable. It has no added to the sum of my happiness to have read it.
would you say that in a lot of ways, Father, that the world is better off not knowing? I mean, that almost has to be what the folks have decided, that the world is better off not knowing.
Yes, that's what the folks have decided. Against that stands the order, which apparently the Queen of Heaven, as Catholic Corporate, gave to the Pope through the children, publishing. difficulty I have.
And it's a big one. West of the Rockies, you're on air with Father Malachi Martin. Hi, where are you?
I'm Lenore in San Diego.
San Diego.
And my question, Father Martin, is Our Lady of Medjugorje, in one of her
Yes.
sayings to the children, was that if we return to God
Yes.
and change our lives to reflect that to God, and pray enough,
Yes.
perhaps God would not send a comet. And I'm wondering if the comet has anything to do with this.
No, ma'am. I was not mentioned. And the difficulty, or as they call it, the chastisement, punishment, mentioned in the verse, are not those caused by comets acting on the earth.
Do you know of anything else the only time I've ever heard anything about comets was in that one statement she spoke to the children. Nobody.
Yeah. I have a difficulty about Medjugorje. If it has not been mentioned by the church of Protestant, I
Yes,
can't rely on it. I can't
It
rely on it.
hadn't been denied by the church either. And
No, it hasn't.
I
It hasn't been quite right.
have major spiritual, joyful, deeply gratitude
I know, and millions have also. Millions have also. The unfortunate thing is that the church has now approved to the state, and I'm afraid to trust that. But that's
my experience has been very deeply involved.
not the
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much and take care. First time calling line, you're on here with Father Malachi Martin. Hello.
Hello, this is Wayne Dolores, Kentucky, turning across America.
In a truck in Kentucky somewhere, okay?
Yeah, this is the father. Yes.
Isn't it written in the good book that people have to be requested to come into your home?
Yes, it is.
And in regards to Benjamin Grimm of last week there, what spirit of his is waiting for everybody to request him to come into their home through one of these MBC, ABC, or something like that. Would you consider that evil request to come into everybody's home by turning on the channel?
Well, I didn't hear this particular broadcast. I'm not able to say.
Well, this is with regard to Benjamin Grimm and Lord Maitreya.
Yeah, what did Benjamin Grimm say?
Well, he said that when the world is ready or requests it,
Yes.
that this Maitreya will make himself known through some large broadcast media to the world.
Well, if you said that, well, let's wait and see.
So that's all we can do. Wildfire Logic.
Oh, crashes. And so I guess that it makes absolute sense that Renee Barnett from Strange Universe, seeking to do a program on the top 10 crashes, would go to Kevin Rangel. Renee, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Is that a pretty good assessment of why you went to Kevin?
Absolutely.
Hi, Kevin, are you there?
I certainly am. Thank you.
All right, excellent. I'm glad to have you both with us. Renee, you're not going to tell us what the top 10 crashes are you?
Well, not tonight. Have to watch the show for that.
I could guess a few. I could guess at Roswell. I could guess at Bentwaters in England. And after that, I started having a hard time. There was maybe one at Socorro. And all time, that's about all I can think of offhand when you're talking about actual crashes. I mean, that is correct. Is it crashes or incidents?
Incident.
Incidents. All right, then I've got a question. Phoenix. The recent Phoenix sightings. Are they in there?
Oh, I knew you were going to do this to me.
Of course I'm going to do it to you.
I would say that that's very good
A
possibility.
very good possibility. All right. So then I know I probably have four. All right. Kevin, you've written the history of UFO crashes. How many crashes? Now, crashes, boy, that's serious. That's not like life That's like crashes. How many have there been?
If you go back into the 19th century, and I think the first one chronicled in the book is actually 1886, we can document reports of about 125. Of those, I think maybe 4 are good solid cases. The rest of them are hoaxes, misidentifications, wild guesses, single witness reports that have no additional corroborative information for them. So we take a look at all of that kind of information and try to put together a good solid chronology of this from the 19th century up until, I think, 1989 is the last one figured in the book.
All right, Kevin, I think you ought to tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Why are you into UFO subject material? How'd you get into it that time?
Well, I was with my mother,
Your mother?
who actually once got lost in Toronto, Nevada, who was very interested in science fiction, and it's now a huge step from science fiction into the UFO phenomenon.
Getting lost in the rough is like science fiction.
That's what she said. And so it wasn't a large leap into the UFO phenomenon. Now, I've spent time as an Army helicopter pilot and an Air Force intelligence officer. I'm actually now what they call APD, or ABD, all this dissertation for my PhD. I'm currently working on a dissertation in psychology. So I'm just kind of all over the board with a very eclectic interest in the world around us.
Usually when people are at that sensitive point that you just described, ABD, they are loath to talk about things like UFOs.
Well, interestingly enough, I've conferred with my advisor, and I'm probably going to end up doing a dissertation that relates to the abduction phenomenon.
My, how the world changed.
Absolutely.
So in other words, that's going to be part of it.
Yes. What I think my point of view is that, and I think is what we need to do in the UFO phenomenon, is elevate us from the aperture, if you will, as science in other realms have done. Move ourselves up to the next level where we're looking at it with a more logical mind, looking at it more seriously than we have in the past. It's great to have the people out there chasing the lights in the sky, but after you found 100,000 cases, or 200,000 cases, there's not much more that we can add to our knowledge. I think we need to attempt to move ufology from that realm to the next level where we're doing conscious research and performing experimentation, if you will, looking for the hard physical evidence that the phenomenon actually exists. I mean, you know it exists, I know it exists. We've got to convince the journalistic community and the scientific community that this is something that deserves a good scientific look. I don't think there's been a good scientific investigation of the UFO phenomenon since it began.
Well, later we will talk to Dr. Stephen Greer and his efforts and what you think of that and so forth. Let me turn for a second to Renee. Renee, you've got a segment coming up on the top 10 UFO incidents of, I guess, all time?
Well, yes, in recent history, I guess, actually, the phenomenon kind of kicked off, and I'll give away another of our top 10 with the Kenneth Arnold sighting, which was in 1947 as well as the Roswell incident. So it's celebrating its 50th anniversary in the month of June.
Remind me of the audience, Kenneth Arnold?
Yes, and, Kevin is actually the expert, but I can tell you that I believe it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, June 24th, 1947, Kenneth Arnold was a pilot, and he saw a flying, or what, he saw what looked like a saucer, and it was actually when the term flying saucer was coined, which is another important thing about that event.
If I might.
Sure.
When Kenneth Arnold saw, near Washington, you were right, was 9 objects moving with this motion that he described like saucers skipping across the pond. But he really wasn't describing the shape of the object, the saucer, but their motion like saucers. He said they were crescent-shaped objects. And what is important about the Arnold sighting, of course, is it began the whole UFO phenomenon, the modern phenomenon, alerted the media to it. But as Arnold's sighting ended, there was a fellow named Fred Johnson who saw the same object, but Johnson reported that his compass began to spin wildly as the objects near him. So we have the first of the electromagnetic effect in the Air Force, and you really can't blame them in 1947. The Air Force decided that the action of the compass was not related to the appearance of the UFOs. We now know about the electromagnetic effect. But at that point, there didn't seem to be a causal relationship between the appearance of the objects and the spinning of his compass.
I probably should know about the Arnold, more about the Arnold incident. Has it been, in effect, varied a little bit by Roswell occurring in the same year?
It has taken a back seat to the Roswell case because of the number of witnesses involved and the importance of the Roswell case. But Kenneth Arnold sighting, he's always blamed as the man who started the whole UFO phenomenon with his sighting near Mount Rainier. So he's given credit for that. But what has become important is that the Arnold sighting is not standalone. It's not a single witness sighting as we had thought when it was first reported that Arnold seeing the object from his airplane. We've now got a witness on the ground that corroborates what he said. So now it's become multiple witness. So it's a much more powerful sighting than it was when it was first reported.
Well, pilot sighting is interesting stuff anyway. I guess at that point, there would not have been a lot of fear on the part of the pilot to report something like this. That occurred after that time. Would that be correct, Kevin?
Yes, I think what we look at, and again, we have to take a look at 1947. Nobody knows what's going on. When you read the newspaper clippings, and this is where it becomes very interesting. You read the newspaper clippings, you have governmental spokesmen saying, we don't know what it is, we think it might be this. We have the scientific community saying, we don't know what it is and proposing a number of theories. There are military spokesmen saying it's not secret projects that belong to us. We don't know what it is. Arnold sort of sparks all of that discussion in the press on the July 4th weekend, the same weekend that the events in Roswell take place. Flight crew in Idaho reports an object. United Airlines flight crew reports seeing objects chasing their aircraft. Nobody says anything about them. In fact, the military is extremely concerned by the number of pilots reporting these things, especially military pilots, who they see as very credible. It's only after the Roswell case that takes place, and I even found the article in the Las Vegas Review-Journal on July 9th. The Associated Press reports that the Army and Navy moved today to suppress the stories of flying saucers whizzing through the atmosphere. So what's interesting here is something that takes place on the July 4th weekend, the crash at Roswell. Suddenly the military and the government knows what's going on, and they move to suppress the sightings. And then people start making the comments like, well, flying saucers have been seen in 38 states except Kansas, which is a dry state. So suddenly the ridicule factor comes into play. You don't need to see those flying saucers, do you?
Were they trying to suggest that the more humid the location, the more likely sightings, hence swamp gas, I think was...
I think what they attempted to do after the Roswell crash takes place, suddenly they know what the answer is. They're presented with a technology that's far superior to ours. If we can crack the code, we leap ahead of our enemies. We have the technology then that could rule the world if we can figure it out. And if we can convince our enemies that nothing happened at Roswell, then we don't have to worry about espionage.
Oh, no, that makes sense.
Or even the stigma became that if you see a flying saucer, then you must be out of your mind or under the influence of alcohol.
Or one of those guys with three teeth and big overalls that sucks down beer all the time. You can't be trusted. But what's interesting, if you take a look at the files, even the Air Force files show this. The higher the level of education, the more qualified the observer, the longer the object is in sight, the less likely they're going to find an explanation for it. So it's just the opposite of what they had suggested, that the lower the educational level, these are fleeting things that you only see for a moment, and it's people who haven't been highly educated or highly trained. And when you look at the Project Blue Book file, you find exactly the opposite.
Renee, you brought up a million things we could expand on, Kevin, but Renee's only with us, I think, for an hour. You've got a big segment coming up, Top 10. The Top 10 things that have occurred. When is it going to air?
That's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Friday, May 1st.
May 1st.
Right.
And people go absolutely nuts trying to find Strange Universe. I get a million faxes saying, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? When? And you've got a website. That's probably the best bet. Otherwise, what, TV Guide?
Just check your local listings. So being syndicated, we're not on a certain network and different networks all over the place. In Los Angeles, we have to be on the United Paramount Network, but that doesn't hold true across the board. So that's better to check your local listings. Certainly, check our website,
Which is?
www.strangeuniverse.com.
Okay. So many people don't have computers yet. That I guess you're going to have to turn to your TV guides, but typically you'll find it, I find, between about 10 at night and 1 in the morning. I suppose it can vary from even that, but that's where I found it generally.
A lot of times we're on late at night. However, in some cities we're on even in the afternoon. I think in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we show my hometown. We show at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Ooh, okay. Renee, when you began to do this, move toward this segment of the top 10, how did you select?
How did I select the top 10?
Yeah, what was the criterion for selecting?
Well, certainly, as you mentioned, there were certain ones that immediately came to mind. And then that's when I made the call to Kevin Randall.
I see.
And we went over the remaining number, which was the majority of the cases, together. And I think that we tried to select cases where there were sufficient documentation and mainly something more than just a sighting, but something more like interaction with the environment, such as in the Kenneth Arnold sighting, the compass of Fred Johnson that went spinning. That was actually some effect on the environment that this had. Of course, the crash at Roswell, we had trace evidence, we had debris, and we had, of course, lots of documentation, and we had a press release by the Army Air Corps, I guess it was called at the time.
Actually, the Army Air Forces then.
Army Air Force.
Air Forces.
Air Forces wasn't really.
Yeah, as a bit of trivia, which probably no one cares about with me, the Army Air Corps became the Army Air Force in 1941, and by the end of the war, it was the Army Air Forces. So in 1947, before it broke off to become its own branch of the service, it was the Army Air Forces.
Now, why did they do that? Do you have any idea, Kevin? Why?
Sure. What happened is in history, of course, first the Air Force was part of the Army, part of the Army Air Force, but it grew into such a powerful, important organization that at the end of the war, you have the Army broken into two separate units, the ground forces and the air forces. And so you had, for example, in 1947, you had Dwight Eisenhower as the Chief of Staff of the Army, but under him were two high-ranking officers, one commanding the Army ground forces, one commanding Colonel Spaatz, I believe it was, commanding the Army Air Forces.
All right. Those of you hold on a moment. We're at the bottom of the hour. Kevin Randall, who wrote The History of UFO Trent.
Actually, I think it took us conversation off with the top 10. And then later on, we set out at Strange Universe to put them in order of importance. And then getting what was kind of difficult, but made much easier with the help of Kevin, was to get together some visuals for each of the events.
Yeah, I was about to say, you are a visual medium.
Absolutely.
And you've got to find visual ways to tell your story, and that's particularly difficult in the UFO field. So how'd you do it?
That's right. Well, as I said, with Kevin had a lot of videotape. He had some great pictures. He had some documents. And so we traveled to Kevin's place to pick some of that up and to get that on tape, and also to get Kevin to narrate our sightings for us, or our events, I should say.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, so in other
We'll see
words,
Kevin on the tape.
we'll get to see Kevin, all right.
Right.
How did you feel about television, Kevin?
I think it's a wonderful medium, and it's probably here to stay.
I've got an interesting list before me, and this question will go to both of you. This is a list compiled by MUFON down in Texas and Los Angeles, I believe. And it is a list of UFO bodies or ET bodies allegedly in the possession of the U.S. government. And let me tell you, it's one long list. 4 at Roswell, 12 at Aztec, New Mexico, 16 at Ely, Nevada, 3 at Albuquerque. I could go on and on and on. There's probably about 20 more listings here, totaling God knows how many bodies. I would say probably 50 or 60 bodies in totality. Do either one of you or both of you believe that there are bodies and that we are in possession of them?
I believe that there were some bodies. However, it's a that large number. I think I'm going to defer to the expert, Kevin, on that.
Well, I think all we really need is one
Oh, that's true.
to prove the case.
That's true.
There is no doubt in my mind that bodies were recovered at Roswell. Once we have that in our possession, once we know what's going on based on that, then subsequent cases are not nearly as important, other than their corroborative value. I think this list is put together much in the same way I put together the chronology for a history of UFO crashes, in that I accepted all the information, looked at all the information, and put it in the book, whether I believed it to be accurate or not, because I felt we ought to put that much information out. There's always a possibility I had made a mistake. I might think that a case is a hoax or a misidentification, and in fact be wrong about that. So I thought of sort of using the Len Stringfield idea that let's put as much information out there as we can. Maybe it'll key a memory or it'll key something from someone else, and we'll put the whole thing together for us.
All right. Well, there are 2 famous now pieces of video. One, the Roswell autopsy, supposed, and the latest being the supposed interrogation of an alien at Area 51, which, by the way, ran on Strange Universe as well. I'm not going to ask you, Renee, because it's just too tempting to try to get to the top 10, and I know you don't want to give them all away because you got a show to do tomorrow night.
Right.
But Kevin, is there any, in your opinion, legitimate footage of aliens?
I think the alien autopsy film that Ray Santilli and the boys has is probably a fake. They're operating as if they know something about the film and they don't want us to know, and have done everything in their power to make sure that we don't get sufficient information about it to make any kind of a pronouncement. We also have to take a look at it from the point of view it's not incumbent upon us to prove that film a fake, but Ray Santilli should provide us with information so that it can be authenticated. He's failed to do so. But there are some interesting things out there, some interesting photographs, some interesting things out there for us to take a look at.
All right.
For non-committal answers.
It's fine. What about this latest footage of an ET supposedly being interviewed at Area 51? I'm sure you've seen that, or seconds of it, or portions of a second.
I that aired on Strange Universe,
Correct.
and I think, again, I'm dubious of that sort of thing because once again, the provenance of it hasn't been effectively established. I think we need to take a look at all aspects of the UFO phenomenon. I think with a very skeptical eye that we're not going to allow our personal beliefs infect how we view these cases and let the evidence carry us to where it goes. And I don't think on the interrogation of the alien, all the evidence is in yet. We have to wait until we can get some more information, some more evidence before we can make a positive call on that.
All right.
Speaking of that alien interview that's called by Rocket Pictures, who owns the full 2 minutes and 55 seconds of available footage on that, we're doing a follow-up on that next Tuesday on Strange Universe. Right, and we're still continuing our investigation into that and seeking out any evidence that anyone might have to corroborate this or to disprove it.
Okay. Another category then, and this is probably the most important to me of them all, and it is hard physical evidence that can be examined, analyzed, and all the rest of it. Now, I happen to be in possession of something affectionately called Art's Parts, made up of 2 shipments we got. One of aluminum pieces, which are extremely pure, but not very interesting beyond the fact of their purity. The second shipment, though, was of material made up of bismuth and magnesium. Now, let me how exhaustively for about a year now. We went to Carnegie Institute. We went to every rare metals manufacturer we could find. Researchers in the field, they didn't know what it was. They have yet to be able to duplicate it, and they've been trying. It appears to have diamagnetic property to it. I don't know how many other things like this exist. I'll tell you a little secret. I gave a little piece of it to my friend Whitley Streeter. And I said, just a souvenir for you, Whitley. And I gave him a little piece of the business mag stuff. 16 layers, something like that. We've got photographs up on the website. And he took it away, and I just really intended to give it to him as a souvenir. Nobody knows this. And he took it to a scientist and had it analyzed. And the scientist said, oh my God, what's this? I have never seen anything like this. So there's one piece of at least hard physical evidence that has not properly been explained. It's an important avenue of research. Kevin, is there much more of it out there?
Well, I would like to retreat to your aluminum for a moment.
Sure.
The one horrifying thing that is in my mind is that we finally get a piece of the Roswell wreckage, a real honest-to-God piece of the flying saucer, and we take it to the proper authorities to have it analyzed, and they say, hey, it's aluminum. Doesn't mean it's not extraterrestrial in origin.
No, and let me tell you something else, Kevin. One other aspect of the aluminum that was very important was that when you looked at it under an electron microscope, there were thousands of little pieces of embedded sand. And the report that came back said, whatever this aluminum material is, it was involved in a very hard impact with the ground. So we know that.
There's the Ubatuba sample. Objects seemed to explode near Ubatuba, Brazil in 1957. Material picked up on the beach, taken to first a colonist in Brazil, and later it arrived at the headquarters of the Aerophenomenal Research Organization in Tucson. According to the original analysis done by the Brazilian Army or the Brazilian government, it was magnesium that was 100% pure. It did not exist in that form in 1957, and that sample was destroyed in the analysis of it. 2 other pieces made it to the United States. One of them was allowed, or maybe both of them were allowed, were given to the Condon Committee, the University of Colorado study in the late 1960s for non-destructive analysis. And the Condon report made a very unscientific conclusion, I thought. They said, well, we looked at this metal, it's very pure magnesium, but it's not 100% pure. Therefore, the story of it being 100% pure is disproven. No, that's not what it proves, because if I blow up your car, I can find all kinds of different materials. I can find cloth and rubber and glass and metal. So if I analyze a piece of glass, I cannot say that your car was made of glass. And so the company that he drawn the conclusion that the piece that was destroyed in the analysis in Brazil was not 100% pure, even though the Brazilian laboratory said it was. The chemical company can't say, well, that's been disproved. All they can say is the samples that they examined were not 100% pure. But there's another example of hard physical evidence from a flying saucer phenomenon.
Renee, in this piece coming up, do you deal at all with the hard physical evidence aspect of it, or are you more into the sightings aspect?
I think we're into a little bit of both, and basically what it is it's just what we're calling it is the Strange Universe Top 10 UFOs, Top 10 Greatest UFOs. So what it is that we're just listing it, giving a little bit of background and a little bit of evidence from each case.
Including a little bit of hard physical evidence.
Yes, we're speaking about that. I don't know that we had any evidence in our possession to show, but we did speak about that.
Okay. When is the piece going to be, Renee? Is it the entire show? Is it the first piece, or where is it going to be in the show?
I think it's in the second or third act of the show.
All right.
More toward the end of the show.
All right. Both of you. The anniversary of Roswell is coming up. What do you expect from that? Will there be anything new? Anybody else coming forward? Any amazing new information about Roswell on the anniversary?
See, it would be hard for me to say if anyone's holding back information that they're going to reveal on the anniversary, but that would certainly be an exciting premise to go on. I would think that would be a great time to reveal it.
It would be, yes.
Evan, do you have any inside info?
There have been a number of different people who have told stories about their involvement in the Roswell case in the last year or so. Again, Strange Universe did the financial officer from the base coming forward and talking a little bit about what his involvement was. I mean, that was something new. There is other people who have been a little bit freer with what they know, but I don't see any major revelation coming about just because of the 50th anniversary.
The problem is, people are beginning to die.
The problem is people have been dying for a long time.
But particularly from, the Roswell incident.
Well, what I'm saying is that's been a problem we've been having for quite a long time. Jesse Marcel, Sr. died in 1986, for example. And I'm appalled by going back to my address book and the numbers of witnesses that we've gotten on either audio or videotape and discovering these people have since died. Edward Easley was a major loss. I think we did not properly investigate what he knew. He was somewhat reticent to talk. And had we realized that he was as ill as he was, I think I spoke to him about 6 months before he diagnosed with terminal cancer. And had we known in that 6 months, we could have gone out of our way to get more information from him.
Who was he?
I'm sorry. I assume that everybody knows everything about this case. I shouldn't do that. Edward Easley was the provost marshal of the 508 Bomb Group in Roswell in 1947. He was responsible for coordinating both the impact site where the craft and bodies were located and the debris field up on the Brazel Ranch. That was his responsibility. When I first spoke to him, he told me repeatedly that I can't talk about it. I was sworn to secrecy, which of course gives line to Sheriff Cabot's comment about, well, I wasn't sworn to secrecy. Well, there were people who were sworn to secrecy. We have that information on tape. He also told family members about seeing the creatures, talking about the creatures, and he let other little things drop. He told me flat out that the craft was extraterrestrial. So Edward Easley was an important witness, and we found him in 1990 and interviewed him a couple of times, and then I think it was in November of that year, I called down to speak to him, and his wife said, well, he's not available right now. Well, it wouldn't be a good time to call back, and she kind of hesitated. And I found out later that he was very ill. And unfortunately, we did not have an opportunity to gather as much information from him as we might have been able to had his health been better.
Well, deathbed testimony is important testimony in my eyes and the eyes of many, many people. If you're dying and you want to get some off your chest, it carries more weight. There's no question about it. It carries more weight in the eyes of just about everybody. So it is a shame that you were not able to get there. But he told you unambiguously that it wasn't ET craft. Do you have that on tape?
Unfortunately, no. And what happened there was I had made the call to him when we were having that discussion from the office, from the Center for UFO Studies office, and I didn't have a tape recorder. Since then, people said, well, you should have gone out and bought one right away and called him back and got the information from him again. And they're absolutely right, you should have done that. I didn't think about that. I thought we were going to have an opportunity to interview him on videotape, because we were making plans to go to visit him at his home in Fort Worth and videotape him before he got sick. And the circumstances crowded us out on that. We do have some of his statements on tape, for example, being sworn to secrecy. And it's kind of funny, in the first conversation, as I talked to him and I asked him questions about this, they keep saying, I can't tell you that I was sworn to secrecy. I can't tell you that I was sworn to secrecy. So we have a man who is very credible, who retired as a full colonel from the Air Force, who clearly was the corporal's marshal of the 5-Red Club group at the time this took place, telling me that he can't talk about this incident because he was sworn to secrecy.
Well, a lot of people they took all this very seriously. Renee, I have a question for you. I had an opportunity to interview the famous, infamous, mysterious Victor. Victor is willing to come on my program for apparently about an hour with a voice-changing apparatus and be interviewed with regard to the tape that you ran and the follow-up that you're about to do on Strange Universe. Now, that probably is going to occur in the next few days, Renee. If you would be interested in getting a list of questions to me that you think would be appropriate to follow Victor, it would be very helpful.
I would love that, and I appreciate the opportunity. I would certainly love to have the opportunity to interview Victor myself, and I envy you for being able to. This is a real coup, I think, that you're getting him. We were certainly not afforded that opportunity at Strange Universe. And in fact, you're just going to be on for a full hour. It's really great.
Got a lot of time.
Absolutely.
I wonder if I were to say, well, I'd like to bring Renee Barnett from Strange Universe on and let her also ask some questions, whether Victor would then straight away.
You can give it a try.
I'm willing to do that. I'll give it a try. Because I know you have many questions. In the meantime, the big one coming up tomorrow night, top 10. When you say contemporary UFO incidents or all time?
I would say, well, temporary UFO incidents, but I guess in some ways that is for all time, because the real evidence and documentation that we have on UFOs has really been only in contemporary times, starting back 50 years ago.
Yes, okay. Kevin, I know that you know what they are, and you will say either, and I don't blame you, you're not supposed to. But do you think that Strange Universe has it pretty well covered with respect to the top 10 being what you would agree the top 10 probably are?
We have to take a look at it. We're limited to 10 different events, and I'm sure that if you sat down to think about what you would think is the top 10 UFO events, you might come up with a slightly different list. But I know in the construction of the list, what was a primary consideration was the evidence available. Did the UFOs interact with the environment? If we went from a scientific point of view, the scientific community, the skeptics were saying, where is the physical evidence? And I think that was kind of in the back of everybody's mind as the list was put together. Is those that were more than just a sighting, but had some additional element to it.
All right, Renee, we're about to break off with you, so remind everybody tomorrow night, top 10 UFO incidents. It'll be a Strange Universe. Everybody's got to go out there and check their TV guys and find out when it's on, right?
That's right. That's right, next Tuesday, the alien interview follow-up. Also on that same show on the UFO subject, we're going to be running a feature on the elusive Mr. Robert Bigelow, the Las Vegas.
Oh, I know Bob Bigelow.
All right.
Matter of fact, he's somebody I have a lot of feelings with. All right, Renee Barnett, thank you. Everybody should be watching the top 10 tomorrow night. Renee, thanks. And Kevin, stick around.
I'll stick around.
All right. This is where we break at the top of the hour, everybody. You're listening to the American CBC Radio Network. I'm Art Bell. To me, it's fait accompli. In other words, UFO sightings are real. Millions and millions of Americans have seen them. But we need to go beyond that. We really, really need to go beyond that. Either with a body or physical evidence or indisputable photographic evidence. That one's hard too. I've got on my website, I've got so many photographs of it. Now, I've even got one with a helicopter at some point.
The problem you run into with today's environment is photographs. Frankly, is anybody with a computer and a good graphics program, graphics creation program, in Photoshop or Adobe.
While that's true, you want to take a look at it. Do you have access to the web?
Well, I looked at your website this evening when I was waiting to come on the show.
Good. Did you see the picture with the helicopter and the saucer?
I didn't go that deep into it.
All right.
I'll give it another look tomorrow.
All right. And the reason I say this is because I was sent the original 35 millimeter photograph. I scanned that in myself.
But what I'm saying is it's so easy to even create a negative in today's environment.
Yes.
That it's almost impossible for even the expert to tell whether or not that's been manipulated with some kind of a computer program.
Okay, so that photographic evidence, whether it's a still photograph or even video, no matter how good it is, it's not going to be acceptable.
I think in today's environment, we've got a real problem with that. And in fact, I just saw something somewhere on the web today talking about a video toaster for under $10,000. Now, I know when the original came out, they were $500,000 or more.
A video toaster?
It's a piece of equipment that allows you to manipulate videotapes. And I have a friend, Russ Estes, who showed me how easy it was for him to create a very good-looking videotape of a flying saucer with the equipment that he has at his studio. And so we found a problem with looking at that sort of thing today. So we need, if you've got a videotape of a flying saucer or an object, you've got to have a photographer who has impeccable credentials for multiple witnesses. Now, if you get videotape of the same object from 2 or 3 locations, it's going to be very hard for someone to fake that.
All right. Why not about Phoenix? Phoenix is a good example of that. Sightings over Phoenix were seen by thousands, and they've got videotape as well. Where does that investigation stand?
My understanding is they're still in the process of investigating because it's a fairly recent activity. And you have to take a look at the whole body of evidence that is available from that. And if you've got, as I say, videotape from 2 or 3 cameras from 2 or 3 sources, and you have people who are credible people such as you and I, you wouldn't be out there faking a video of a flying saucer. No. We don't have a history of creating those sorts of hoaxes, if you will. Then you begin to assemble some very credible evidence. Well, I think the point that we need to take a look at, and you allude to, another sighting of lights in the sky, or even a day like this, is going to help us. If we start building the cases from a scientific standpoint and looking at the evidence very, very carefully and taking the witness testimony and asking all the questions that should be asked, not just the ones we want to hear the answers for, and put together a solid body of evidence, even if we do not have a bit of metal, we're still going to be able to put together some very credible cases. And when those opportunities to collect the bits of metal have come about, the scientific community have ignored them. Chris Stiles and Don Ledger in Nova Scotia have just spent the last couple of years investigating the Shag Harbor case from October of 1967.
I don't know about that.
I was going to explain.
Okay.
An object apparently either fell into Shag Harbor or dove into Shag Harbor to avoid something. The Canadian government attempted to find out what fell into it. They were fell into Shag Harbor. They were accompanied by Americans, and there's even an indication that the Soviets were involved in some satisfaction trying to get in there to look what was going on. What's so important about this case is it happened in October of 1967. This is when the Condon Committee was out investigating UFOs for the United States Air Force. $550,000 of our tax money they're spending to investigate UFOs. Here is a perfect example of a case that could produce very good physical evidence. The Condon Committee called up into Canada, made a couple of phone calls, thought that just some teenagers saw some lights in the sky and didn't follow up on it at all. And Chris Stiles and Don Ledger spent a great deal of time following up and gathering documentation, realizing here was an opportunity for Condon Committee to do exactly what they were supposed to be doing, scientific analysis of a UFO sighting, and they just blew it off.
All right, whether it's the Condon Committee or Blue Book or any of the other investigations that have occurred, have there been, in your opinion, any really legitimate investigations conducted? And by that I mean by some official source or otherwise, whatever.
It's my opinion that there's been no good scientific investigation of the UFO phenomena. There have been things such as the Condon Committee or Project Blue Book that you mentioned that were supposed to be doing that sort of thing. And everybody sits around and says, well, Project Blue Book, the Air Force looked at 12,000 UFO sightings.
Right.
They were able to explain all but 701. And if that 701 is a significant number, and if you take a look at it from a statistical point of view, it really is 701 unexplained sightings out of 12,000. But what you have to take a look at is what the Air Force said. They said, well, the rest of them were astronomical phenomenon, weather phenomenon, weather balloons, aircraft misidentifications, and hoaxes. What they don't tell you is about 4,000 of the cases in the Project Blue Book files are stamped insufficient data for scientific analysis, which means there's no explanation for them, but they are labeled.
All right, Blue Book concluded, didn't it, at the very end, that whatever it is, it's not a threat to national security. Wasn't that in their final statement?
That was what they always played off. Well, it's no threat to national security. We have done our job. Because it doesn't threaten the national security, we don't have to look at this anymore.
All right, I have interviewed officers who were in missile silos in this country who said that UFOs hovered over their installations, that UFOs, in fact, deactivated some intercontinental ballistic missiles. I've had other people tell me that story is absolutely accurate, but I actually talked to one of the officers 2020, a long time ago I think it was, did a story on a UFO that hovered over a Russian similar installation and began activating an ICBM. Now, whatever UFOs are, it seems to me that if they're doing that kind of thing, if they're not a threat to national security, then the people in Washington have their heads in a very dark place indeed.
So the other side of that coin, the Air Force says we don't investigate UFOs anymore.
Right.
If you've got some anomalous object over the continent of the United States, it's the Air Force mission to investigate it, no matter what they say. So we don't pay attention to UFOs anymore. But we've got an invader over our airspace. The Air Defense Command is supposed to look at these things and intercept them.
Right, so that is a dumb statement on its face.
Absolutely correct.
I mean, if something's doing Mach 4 or 5 crossing the country at high altitude and they don't look and see what it is, what the hell's wrong with our defense system?
And that's their job. And if they're not going up to look at it, then we better stop funding them. And so when they say we stopped investigating UFOs in 1969, that's a crime. They still investigate UFOs. They have to investigate UFOs by regulation.
All right. You wrote the history of UFO crashes. What did you do in the Randall Report, the new book, that went beyond that, or that differed from that?
The Randall Report is looking at the UFO investigations in the 1990s and how UFO investigations operated in the 1990s. And that is how we bring in the Shanghai Harbor crash from 1967, for example. The investigation by ufologists began in the 1990s. I think Chris Stiles says that he was inspired by the Unsolved Mysteries segment on the Roswell case and realized that there was a similar event that took place in Nova Scotia and that maybe he could look into that and discover some documentation, talk to some of the witnesses, and maybe uncover some evidence about it. So we take a look at what has happened in the 1990s in the way of investigation and how the sophisticated technique of the ufologists has improved. We used to be a bunch of amateurs out there kind of fumbling in the dark, just wanting to believe in UFOs and not taking a good solid look at the evidence, going where the evidence took us. And if you take a look at the investigations done today, those same so-called amateurs are doing extremely incredible investigations. We've learned, and you alluded to it earlier with Linda Howe, she may not be competent to analyze the metal, but she's the arts parts, but she's certainly competent to find the proper authorities to analyze that metal. Sure. And that's one of the things that we've learned in the last few years is that we're not required to have all the answers. There are experts out there, disinterested experts, who can provide us with some of the answers.
Yeah, but what's driving me nuts is they've done the analysis of our parts, and we know, I mean, we've been underway with this for over a year now. It went to Carnegie. It re-radiated, and I forget, I have to get the report, 60 times the amount of radiation that should have been coming from it. They, at Carnegie in Washington, they've documented that for us. We paid for it. And nobody has been able to duplicate it. Nobody understands it. It's absolutely anomalous. But where have we gone with it? I mean, why hasn't somebody come and said, my God, you've done something here, some hard physical evidence, it really is something, but they haven't.
I think we take a look at the news media as a responsible entity, or the scientific community. We have an awful lot of people out there who have spent their careers building their credibility, and they don't want to lose their credibility by investigating flying saucers, for crying out loud. You're not telling me you believe in those little green men, are you? And what we see is when a story is assigned to a reporter about UFOs, we always find the reporter finding the most uncredible person to talk to. Like the Operation Light Snow did their march in Washington, and the reporters interviewed the lady who had manifested herself on 16 alien spacecraft.
They're going to go for somebody with a mental hat, a little twirly thing.
And so they can go back and say, oh, I don't believe in this stuff. Look what I found. Instead of investing the time and the effort in learning exactly what goes on in the UFO phenomena. You mentioned yourself the Heaven's Gate event is linked directly to the UFO phenomena, as if we're somehow responsible. In fact, I saw Armin Ellison on the Sci-Fi Channel this Sunday lamenting the fact that all these crazy people believe in flying saucers, and look what it got. 39 people are dead in Southern California.
Right.
And that's no more fair than to blame the Catholic Church for the Guyana tragedy and Jim Jones. You know, he was no more a Catholic or a Christian in the sense that the people at Heaven's Gate are ufologists. And so we get caught in that brush, and nobody bothers in the journalistic community to understand that we're not responsible for that craziness.
All right. Well, I want to talk to you about Heaven's Gate, and I want to talk to you about Dr. Stephen Greer, who just recently made a very serious attempt, valiant attempt, that really went nowhere in the press, and it should have. So stay right there, Kevin. We'll be back to you. It's the bottom of the hour. Once again, I'm Art Bell. We are talking ufology, the general state, I guess, of ufology in a way, but the man who should know about it, Kevin Randall. I'm Art Bell, and this is the American CBC Radio Network. Don't touch that dial. 8255 east of the Rockies at 1-800-825-5033. 1-800-825-5033. This is the CBC Radio Network. It is, and we're about to open the lines and let you ask questions to Kevin Randall, if you would like. He's been investigating UFOs a long time. So, if you have a question, come now. Do you drink bottled water? Do you still have Alaska or Hawaii? Call 918 687-0404. All right. Back down to Kevin Randall. Let us talk for a second about Heaven's Gate and the 39 suicides in Rancho Santa Fe. When that story broke, Kevin, most folks decided they were going to blame me because we had Courtney Brown on and a series of photographs showing an apparent anomaly behind Hale-Bopp, which we of course proved to be a hoax long before the suicides. But never mind that. The press decided several things. They decided that they were going to make this story about UFOs no matter what. Despite the suicide note saying that whether or not there's a companion is irrelevant, despite the fact that they've been going after it 22 years, despite all kinds of facts, like they said that the marker was the comet, all the rest of it, if you do just a little bit of due diligence and research into what was going on with that cult, you would have come up with a very different story. But that is not what the American press wanted. By God, they were going to have their UFO equals suicide story no matter what. And I wonder if you kind of have the same take on it.
You know, 20 years ago, Applewhite and Colt came by my house.
Really?
When they were growing deep. They're starting out as the two, and I was teaching a class on UFO phenomena at local community college, and they wanted my help in sponsoring the lecture there, and I saw them as a contactee group, and really didn't want anything to do with them. Which is one of the reasons I have an unlisted phone number. I don't want these people standing on my front step when I come home from the movie.
I understand.
But that's it. The news media, unfortunately, has got to get their story right now this minute. And tomorrow we'll have another one. And we have to get it right now this minute. And they're not interested in what the truth is. I was at the offices of the Chicago Tribune, and the reporter told me never tell the story. We were talking about, again, the case of Roswell, and one of the editors says, well, I don't believe in that stuff. And I said, well, there's been a government cover-up, and I can prove it. I have the documentation. The documentation is there. I have a book coming out called Conspiracy of Silence, and the documentation is presented in there showing that there was an attempt to suppress UFO information. And the attitude of the editors, senior editors of the Chicago Tribune is, we don't care what the documentation says, we don't believe this stuff. And that's it. We take a look at the Heaven's Gate cult, and it has nothing to do with UFOs in reality. And I don't know why the comic we had the year before wasn't the marker for them.
I don't either.
Hale-Bopp was a much better comic.
Sure. We can only go by what they said, but the press roundly ignored that and told the story the way they wanted to tell it.
But the press always tell the way they want to tell it, regardless of what the facts are. They get it in their minds that this is the way the story is, and then you have a very hard time of convincing them that it's not that way. They have their own agenda. The New York Times is the best example of that. When the Air Force came out with a report in 1995, they said, well, we can explain Roswell's a weather balloon. We didn't look at the story where the Air Force said, you know, back in 1947, we said it was a weather balloon. We checked our weather records. We lied back in 1947, and what we discovered is it was a weather balloon.
That's right. Crazy.
Same answer. Just gave it a new name, but it's the same answer. The New York Times said, oh, yeah, of course, it's a weather balloon. Didn't say to the people, well, gee, why couldn't Marcel and the boys at Roswell recognize a weather balloon when they saw it? And if they couldn't recognize it, did you really want these guys with their fingers on the button?
Oh, that's a good point. Dr. Stephen Greer, I want to cover that subject. He recently went back to Washington and took some incredibly credible folks and provided testimony in an attempt to do exactly what we've been trying to do, legitimize the investigation. And I expected to see some pretty big headlines as a result of the Greer business. And there's been literally, unless you count the internet, nothing.
And the internet, unfortunately, there's so many people on the internet that are not qualified to make any kind of announcement. You read some of those messages and you wonder how they can actually type in English. But I think Dr. Greer's attempt may have been an attempt at premature. That the news media wasn't ready for that sort of thing, regardless of the list of witnesses that he brought forward. I mean, when you have Jesse Marcel being attacked because his military record does not reflect what he told Bob Kraft some 30 years later, we're still having to fight those sorts of battles. And I know of all the people in the debate about Jesse Marcel's record, I'm probably the only one that ever served in Army aviation. And I know for a fact my record is wrong. I tell you, I have 41 air medals. I mean, Marcel had 5, and Clayton had 5, and the record showed 2. My record shows 2, but I can prove other air medals. It just was never an important enough discrepancy for me to bother to correct. That sort of thing. And what we're saying is, this record that is kept by, or created by draftees, is somehow a document cast in stone what Jess Marcel said some 38 years later to a reporter who may have misunderstood what he said. We don't have the tapes anymore to compare it. Somehow this proves that Jess Marcel is a liar. I mean, here's a man who's exactly who he said he was in 1947, and we're arguing over trivia from his record.
Well, it's like settled law, Kevin. In other words, good law, bad law, as long as it's been long enough. Even the U.S. Supreme Court is willing to say it is settled law. It's a concept I've always had a very difficult time with. So a record, going back that many years, it's got to be true. Look at this. It was back in 40 so-and-so. It's got to be true. Let's try the phones here for a second. First time caller line, you're on here with Kevin Randall. Hi.
Hi,
Where are you?
I'm in California,
California, okay.
and my name's Jean. Kevin,
Yes,
I read at least one of your books.
I appreciate that.
How fun?
I appreciate that.
Okay. And I've read several other books more recently. And I have a sense that with all various books that I've read, that obviously our government has known about what's called something flying in around our planet, which they probably felt, for perhaps their own reasons, that some people on the planet didn't need to know about it. But in the various cases where people have actually had contact, there seems they almost all allude to some type of human experimentation of which we are being used.
Yes.
And the type of experimentation almost always implies that the stories imply that they are using human embryos for their own benefit.
It appears to be genetically related. In other
Right.
words. Right.
Now, one of the statements I read was that someone was told, mankind's going to become sterile, so this is why we're doing it. But there also seems to be sometimes two varieties perhaps seen together, one taller than the other and yet different. As though one is a type of clone, maybe also human, and the other one is the actual, we'll call extraterrestrial entity.
All right, let me form that into a question for you. Kevin, she's right. When you look at contact reports, the vast majority of them appear to include experimentation that has to do with reproduction or genetics. Is that a fair conclusion?
I'm not sure it's fair to say the vast majority of them. There is a majority of them that's when you collect the data from people who claim to have been abducted is suggestive of some kind of genetic manipulation and experimentation, yes.
And then let's talk about the first little bit of what you said. In your opinion, you know what the Brookings report is.
Yes.
Are we still operating on the basis of that report? The Brookings report, for those who don't know, suggested that there would be a severe social disruption if we became aware that there were others. That boils it down too simply, of course, but that's the basic.
I think they also suggest suggested that when a technologically inferior civilization comes in contact with technologically superior civilization, the technologically inferior civilization ceases to exist.
Yes.
Meaning the mere introduction of that technology radically alters the society.
We didn't need ETs to prove that. We proved that again and again, Your Honor.
I was going to suggest that the mere introduction of the horse to the Plains Indians after the Spanish arrived in the New World certainly altered their lifestyle. And of course, now where are the Indians today? Their civilizations were destroyed.
So my question is, are we still operating on a premise presented in Brookings?
I think we're operating under that premise. We're operating under a lot of different premises. But it strikes me that we're operating under Big Brotherism. We are so childlike, I guess, that if the government were to come out and tell us that there were extraterrestrial entities flying through our atmosphere, that it would be disastrous. We just couldn't handle this sudden knowledge that we're not alone in the universe. And we can see that kind of attitude by the U.S. government all the time in a lot of the laws they pass and things they do. So yeah, I think we're still operating under that sort of a auspices, if you will.
Okay. Let me change the course here just for a second with you, Kevin. I've got an important question. I've had, as you know, Richard Hoagland on the program many times. Richard has concentrated on things like the face on Mars, artifacts on the moon, and 17 years ago, life on Europa, and those sorts of things. He has been pressuring a long time now, NASA. 2 days ago, I got a letter from NASA, directly from NASA to me, and they finally have begun to react to this, particularly with respect to the announcement that there will not be, amazingly, will not be a mission to Europa. Very suspicious. And so tomorrow night I'm going to have John Savage, who is the Public Affairs Officer, Office of Space Science from NASA, and Ray Millard, who is the Public Affairs Officer for the Hubble Space Sciences Institute. They're both going to be on the show. And NASA has finally decided to publicly respond. Now, this goes to an argument made by Tom Van Flanderen, and it's all centering around Hubble. In other words, I'm told that Hubble can look at Comet Hale-Bopp and make a decision, though it's a narrow window, about whether comets are made up of a solid piece or many smaller orbiting pieces that we see as a solid nucleus, but in fact is not. And that would prove the Van Flanderen model that a planet long ago exploded, and these comets are pieces of that planet. A non-trivial argument. NASA, it seems, doesn't want to look at Comet Hale-Bopp as it leaves. NASA doesn't particularly want to look at the face on Mars, and they don't seem to want to go back to Europa. So I would like to get your take on this prior to talking to NASA tomorrow. Has NASA been straight with us?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the face on Mars, for example, to me, this is a question that can be answered easily. It's either optical illusion or some kind of construct. If it's something that has been constructed by intelligent creatures, that proves that there's extraterrestrial life out there, and it is inhabited our solar system or invaded our solar system at some point, because the proof is there on Mars. We certainly didn't do that. In the Randall report, I talk about the STS-48 case.
Yes.
Dr. Jack Kasher had a series of what he called his proofs, proving that the object seen on that piece of film was not ice crystals. And he has some amazing proof from the point of view of the science of why it couldn't be ice crystals.
And you know about the now later mission?
Oh, absolutely, yes. But the point is, after you used to be able to watch the NASA missions in real time, and people were downloading the signal and watching it on the NASA Select channel.
Exactly.
After that piece of film was discovered, NASA decided to delay everything by 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever.
Exactly.
And the question has to be asked, why? why are you delaying the signals now? And the answer has got to be because somebody found something in one of those signals we didn't want the American public to know about.
That's an incredible thought. I mean, to imagine that we have been lied to for so many years is just an amazing thought. And these people from NASA are so nice, and they explain things away. I'll read this letter later, and they seem to have a reason for everything. But when you look at the overall picture of the space, Europa, Comet Hale-Bopp observations, all the rest of it, it's like they don't want to know, or that is maybe better said, they know and they don't want us to know.
Well, let's look at the Condon Committee just one more time. We now have the documentation to prove the whole thing was a setup. We have a copy of the letter from the Air Force to the Condon Committee saying, this is what we want you to find. The letter back to the Condon Committee says, thank you for telling us. And 3 days later, Condon is in New York saying to a group of scientists, my attitude is right now the Air Force ought to wash its hands of this whole thing, there's nothing to it, but I'm not supposed to come to that conclusion for another 18 months.
You have that letter?
Yes, written by a Lieutenant Colonel named Hitler. It was discovered by Dr. Mike Soares in the Condon Committee papers.
Oh my God! See, now that should be a reason right there for a congressional investigation.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's why I say I don't think there's ever been a good scientific investigation of UFOs. Condon certainly didn't do it. The Robertson panel, the CIA-sponsored study back in 1953, and this I don't think this in great detail in the Conspiracy of Silence, but again, Dr. Soares found. By putting together the chronology of the Robertson panel, here you have this high-powered guy named Robertson running this 4-day investigation of UFOs. On Friday night, he says, not only has the report been written, it's been reviewed by one committee member, the director of the Air Force, and they've signed off on it. Now, how in 1953, before fax machines, computers, and all the high technology we have today, did you write a report on a Friday afternoon or Friday night and get it reviewed by the proper people so that when you show up on Saturday to give the report to the rest of the committee, it's already signed off, so make a couple of cosmetic changes, and that's the report we get.
Unbelievable.
So it's clearly a setup.
Wildcard line, you're on the air with Kevin Randall. Hello.
Yes, my name's Jeff. I'm calling from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I have to agree with your thoughts on the Big Brotherism. I lived here in Southeast Missouri since 1972, and we were having a lot of sightings in the early and mid-70s around a small town called Piedmont, Missouri. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. We had a lot of cattle mutilations there. And we had several people from the university here in Cape Girardeau, one physics professor in particular, had went and did an investigation on these, out in the field every night, taking photographs and doing, some kind of electronic and magnetic measurements. And he wrote a small book on it, and he was so severely slapped down from that, he had to resign his position at the university. And he made an honest effort in trying to measure the phenomena. And something was going on because I had seen them myself one summer up around the area. And back in the 76 election when Jimmy Carter was running for all this, I remember
His promise to tell us all if he became elected.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm wondering what ever happened to that. Why did he not open the files like he told people he
All right,
did?
Kevin, what do you know about that, if anything?
Not only that, we've had a number of people who have attempted to ask Carter about that subsequently after he left the presidency, and he refuses to answer the question.
I know it. I had a fellow who said he went to a book signing by Jimmy Carter, and he actually managed to make eye contact with Jimmy Carter and asked him that question. And tears formed in Carter's eyes.
What we understand is they revealed the truth to Carter, and it was of the nature that he just felt he couldn't pass it along to the rest of us. And
Can you imagine in your mind what they could have told him? It would have been so incredible that Jimmy Carter, who, whatever else he was an honest guy, put that kind of silence across him. What could they have told him that would have been so serious?
It's kind of like the question of what is so incredible about the Roswell case they can't tell us about.
Or maybe exactly the same thing 702-727-1295. First-time callers can return bell at 702-727-1222. 702-727-1222. Now, here again, Art Beth. Once again, here I am, top of the morning. My guest is Kevin Randall, and we're having a very serious discussion about ufology. This evening, if you would like to join in, you're welcome to do so. We are taking calls to economic-related items. 135 North American Trading. On Sunday, May 4th, one of the most spectacular movie events of the year will not be in theaters, not on TV, and not on video. You can see it only on NBC. Master of Action and Suspense, Rocky Cook comes a world premiere feature film based on his best-selling novel, Invasion. Films in the universe, one of them is not play. You have several more unexplained deaths.
I don't understand what's happening. I'm so scared.
Mankind's greatest enemy.
We have to get out of here.
Mankind's greatest enemy. A must-see motion picture experience. Robert Cook's Invasion. Sunday, May 4th, only on NBC. All right, back now to my guest, Kevin Randall, and we were talking about Jimmy Carter. Let me go back again to Roswell. This is from Sean in Yucca Valley. Any speculation, Kevin, on why the aliens apparently did not attempt a recovery of their own crashed saucer at Roswell, even though there was a substantial period of time between the crash and notification of the authorities by George Roswell?
I was back to Mac Brown,
Okay.
but there was, again, it is speculation, completely totally speculation. My favorite theory is that they were attempting to alert us to their presence in the most non-threatening way they could come up with. Was a crash saucer of dead aliens. What they were attempting to tell us was they were fallible, they were not godlike, they were like the human race, they could make mistakes. The problem with that theory is simply that if it didn't work in Roswell, why select Roswell, first of all, because it's such an out-of-the-way place, so why not do it somewhere closer to a population center? And if it didn't work the first time, why not do it again to make sure that the message gets through? I don't understand why they didn't try to recover their craft and the bodies unless they figured the craft was destroyed and once their fellows were dead, there was no reason to risk additional life in the attempt to recover it. We just really don't know what the motivation of the alien race would be.
All right, try this one to emphasize. Art, this suggestion may have already been tried, but I haven't heard it. Why not have the top ufologists file a suit against the government in order to call witnesses to present the evidence? Short of that, why not get with some production company, broadcast a live trial with real attorneys and a real jury, and present the evidence live, not rehearsed. Get a real judge, present the evidence in a court setting. If the evidence is there, present it in a form that will affect the most people. Broadcast the trial during the day, and I'll bet the press would love it. If you do that, you in effect take it away from the tabloids. Have it live, not scripted. Have it take time, like the O.J. trial, so it can sink in. It's a good idea. I wonder if anybody's thought of it, and if they haven't, there's the idea. Would that be one approach?
So there would be one approach, but we have to remember that we're dealing with a scientific question as opposed to a legal question. And the other thing that we always have to look at is what I find particularly persuasive in the way of evidence may not be sufficient to persuade you, or what you find to be persuasive may not be sufficient to persuade me.
Witness the outcome of the O.J. trial.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a real problem with trying to present the evidence for UFOs, and I think our mistake as ufologists has been not presenting it in a proper scientific setting, not following the proper scientific protocols. And if we elevate our standards to to the scientific standards, then we may make some progress. But that is something that we have not been able to do to this point.
Okay, let's get back to the phones. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Kevin Randall. Hi. Hello there. Yes, sir, you're on the air. Turn your radio off and speak up, please.
Mike, Sacramento.
Yes, Mike.
Are you still Kevin and Art?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. When I first put you on the air out here in California, they were talking about the UFOs out in Arizona, and you were also speaking about something in Mexico City. I was wondering if KNXV ever put that on the air, the footage in Arizona. And also, I was wondering if, what were the people just sitting there monitoring air traffic on the radios or something? They were wondering why someone was breaking communication with ground control or something like that.
I'm not following you.
The UFO stories there about, people actually see Southern Night UFOs. That's the first thing.
Are you talking about the Arizona sightings there?
Yeah. Now that you bring up the topic of UFOs here.
All right. Again, the Arizona sightings, the investigation is ongoing. And I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, they offered up the whole flare business again as an explanation. Does that fit with what you know?
The explanations being offered by the government rarely fit with what we know. They feel, I guess they feel compelled to explain them as quickly as they possibly can, regardless of how ridiculous those explanations look. And you can go back to the very earliest UFO sightings, the government attempts to explain these things away. Kenneth Arnold, which we were speaking about much earlier, I think the government and Donald Benzel, the Harvard astronomer who was the great debunker, offered 6 or 7 different explanations, and when somebody found a particular explanation to be ridiculous, well, then they had another one, including raindrops on the canopy of the aircraft drifting across the canopy, and that apparently Arnold was such an incompetent pilot he couldn't recognize moisture on the canopy of his aircraft.
All right, well, that brings us to the great debate about disinformation. And I wonder what you believe. This is out on the fringe, but maybe it's not. There are immediate, sometimes ridiculous, multiple explanations for what something could be. STS-48 and the latest footage is a good example. Are there active agents, in your opinion, that are part of our government, that are out there giving us disinformation? Or are we actively doing that ourselves?
I think my opinion is we're actively doing it to ourselves. I think that after the Roswell case took place, there was an oversight committee developed since 2005. And part of that mission may have been to lead people in different directions. But we've become so professional at it ourselves in the UFO community, and we have the lunatic fringe that we must deal with, that I don't think they feel it's necessary to do it anymore. I think it's more misinformation than disinformation. I don't think they really have to do anything, just allow us to do it to ourselves.
What about the professional skeptics, the James Randys, the people who make it a business run people?
I have yet to understand why they are so rabid in their debunking and that they're so nasty about it. That's what I have never been able to understand, is why we cannot agree to disagree on something, and why they go to such extremes to make those of us who are looking at it seriously seem to be so ridiculous. I haven't understood what their motivation is, why they feel so threatened by our attempts to learn something more.
I agree. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Kevin Randall. Hi. Hello there. Going once, going twice, gone. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Kevin Randall. Kevin, I may be doing something wrong here.
Everybody got me.
No. The wildcard line, let me try this. You're on the air with Kevin Randall. Hello. Oh, you are there. Good.
My name's George, calling from LA.
Hi, George.
Kevin, I wonder, have you ever heard any kind of report, official or otherwise, coming from Palomar concerning possible sightings of any kind of UFOs?
Or other observatories?
Yeah, I am, because when I got married in 1950, a guy named Marty Auerbach had a big reunion when my dad came out to New York for the wedding. Artie was Mr. Crystal on the Jack Benny show. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember that. He had a little Yiddish accent, and he'd say, "Hello, Mr. Benny," and he'd go to these conference meetings. Well, Artie, at the wedding dinner, he was telling the story that a friend of his was a scientist at Palomar, and that ever since we started setting off atom bombs, they were tracking large bodies that were going from one planet to another. The size of one of them, they said, was roughly 3 times the size of the Queen Mary. And there was one they called the Milk Run because it was a regular run that they could depend on to show up.
All right, I think that is a good question. In regard to observatories, they would be very unlikely, I think, to observe anything, for example, scooting about within the atmosphere, because that's not what they're looking for. But with regard to something moving from one planet to another, yes. Observatories, what do we know, if anything, Kevin, about what observatories have seen, or when they get anomalous things that they see, do they simply discard it?
We know that John Hyde, at one time, in the early 50s, surveyed a bunch of astronomers about their beliefs in UFOs. And interestingly enough, Dr. Frank Tombaugh, who discovered had 2 UFO sightings himself. And of course, that explained them away. And I believe Tombaugh, as opposed to Benson. We do know that there have been some observations by observatories of bizarre things on the moon, bizarre things on Mars, and suggestions of some kind of craft, but they've never been well documented. And I think we get back to the ridicule factor, which you don't mean you've seen something men feel. I talked to James A. Van Allen, the name I'm sure everybody recognizes, the man who discovered the radiation belts. I studied astronomy under him. I say astronomy, I studied astronomy, I took one astronomy class, and he was the chairman of the department. But he said, he and I discussed you on a number of occasions, and he always seemed interested in what we were talking about, but never followed up on anything at any great level. But he also suggested to me that an awful lot of the scientific community, his fellow astronomers who were not as well established as he was, would be very hesitant to suggest anything that they'd seen anything anomalous because they would lose their stature as objective rational science.
Fear. East of the Rockies, you're on here with Kevin Randall. Hi.
Yes, hello.
Hello. Where are you?
This is Craig Warren.
Yes, sir.
And with the exception of a rumor regarding aliens activating Russian ICBM, thus far your impression has seemed limited to sightings in the U.S., and most ufologists seem to be in the U.S. I wondered if you could give kind of a global expose of this phenomenon.
Good question. Very good question. There is more of it here, it seems like, than elsewhere. What about that?
If you have access to the internet and some of the news groups, you find people from all over the world posting on them. A number of my books have been published in Germany, in Poland, Japan. So there is a high interest in UFOs around the world. A lot of sightings coming from South America. There was a massive wave, for example, in 1954 of South American sightings and French sightings. There was a huge community of ufologists in Italy. There was some big meeting of ufologists in Israel not too long ago.
Twin Brick Elders are down in Mexico City right now, where it has become so normal that people don't even pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is clearly a worldwide phenomenon. And again, I think it's our own narrow view. I mean, we're interested in what's happening in our country, and of course the news media isn't interested in carrying UFO stories from around the world unless there's some kind of spectacular event that happens.
They don't even carry them when they're here, much less somewhere else. That's true. West of the Rockies, you're on here with Kevin Randall. Hello.
Hello, Bill.
Yes, sir.
It's an honor to speak to you.
Thank you. Where are you?
I am Don in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay.
I sent you an email about 2 days ago. I wonder if you got it.
I'm sorry, I don't know about what.
About the quickening happening in the Pacific Northwest and Vancouver region and area, about how some of my visions, I see Vancouver and British Columbia as still being here after this awakening. And I'm choosing to a station that's telling me and some of my collective people that I am with that it's happening and somehow it's situated that this area will be here. But my question, and nonetheless, do you know if there was any sort of streak of UFOs in 1996? You did hear some in Michigan, but as well in British Columbia area here of rotating Nerf-like boomerang discs that pulsated.
Well, since you're in British Columbia, maybe you can help us out. Sure. You're a CBC there and other media, do they report?
I have to say that you do have another person that calls Vancouver who I like to say he's not too great because he keeps going on the same stupid electromagnetic magnet, but the people that do broadcast around here, I have to say, are pretty docile in the media, and they're not so restricted, so they're more likely to say something, and I have heard local radio stations have talk about it, people call in, it's almost like a natural thing. It's not like you're on the west coast of Vancouver where everybody knows it smokes pot. It's not that kind of thing, it's more of a natural, it's more of a station that we're tuning into. It's almost crazy.
All right, so they do report on it.
They do.
All right. I suppose we ought to touch on this. I just wrote a book, Kevin. I'm sure you know it's called The Quickening. And I think it conclusively proves that human events, now I have no idea if this relates to ufology. It may not at all. But human events in nearly every category are increasing in pace at an exponential rate, socially, economically. And maybe it's related in some way to ufology, and maybe it is not. There are a lot of people that hope that it is, that somebody's going to come along and save our butts from the sky at the last minute. What do you think?
That seems to be the idea that they're going to come and save us from the sky seems to be kind of a religious icon, if you will.
Just about.
That's what people have talked about for literally millennia. And now, instead of God coming down to save us, it's going to be space aliens. I think we're capable of saving ourselves. Which is not to say events aren't quickening.
Oh, that's correct. I believe you are. And I also believe that there is no firm evidence that anybody's going to save our butts but ourselves. And I'm beginning to wonder about us. First time caller line, you're on the air with Kevin Randall.
Hi, Art.
Yes, where are you?
I'm in Cheyenne.
Cheyenne, Wyoming?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Oh, you were? I think when I visited there, I'm probably the only person in the town who was born in Cheyenne. But yeah, my name is William.
Yes?
And I've got two questions for you.
Fire away.
Okay, first question is, you possibly believe, okay, now this might sound a little crazy, that we might have actually been aliens at one time, like travelers that actually landed on Earth, and that we adapted to Earth?
In other words, I'll be the ancestors of what we consider ETs.
Yeah. There have been suggestions that life on Earth was transplanted from other planets in other solar systems a long time ago. I think that we have been, and I say we, the human race has been on Earth long enough that we've evolved through various stages. I think the fossil record is very clear about that. Well, maybe I shouldn't say very clear because they keep changing what the fossil record says. But it seems to be that there is good solid evidence that we Homo sapiens have been around for 4 or 5 million years now, which is not to say that sometime prior to that we couldn't have been transplanted to Earth. But it seems that the life originated on Earth through a series of events that are not ET-driven.
All right, Kevin, hold on. We'll do another half hour with Kevin Randall. I'm Mark Bell.